And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
It's your big show here on Sunday, 2nd of March, 2025. 2nd of March, everybody, already. My goodness, we are zooshing right through, aren't we? Right up to what's on the way next month, of course. And have you heard? Well, the BBC have just dropped the season 2 trailer. And yes, we are going to be looking at it and having a little chit chat about that in this very show. So make sure you're all coming into the chat. It is lovely to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Who's Views. This is indeed Headlines. Also coming up in the show, have you heard that? Well, yes, if you were with me on Thursday for my Live at 6 show, you will know that I wasn't best amused with the latest edition of Doctor Who magazine. I'm still not, quite frankly, if you're all watching out there in editorial land, I'm not impressed with the language that came through in that particular issue. We're going to be looking at the Waris Hussein interview a little bit later on because he seems to have lost the plot, quite frankly. Somebody that never had the plot is Jodie Whitaker. We're going to be talking about her latest interview coming up very, very soon here on the show because she was chatting to the Times. Let's see what you guys make of that as well. And yeah, we're going to be looking... Well, we're going to be looking a little bit closely on, a little bit later on as well at the iPlayer and what's going on with the iPlayer. Great to see you all. Thank you very much for joining me. These two have also joined me. Let's bring them on. It's Third Doctor Ian and it's Paul. Yay!
Hello.
Hello.
So I was stuck in the time vortex, but sorry about that.
Well, yeah, we're going to be coming very soon, everybody. I know you would have watched between the last show I've just done with Bedweer, where we went through the ratings analysis again in response to Doctor Who magazine. Oh, they're not in my good books this weekend, I'll tell you. And we are going to be coming to the freshly released trailer within the last hour. BBC Studios have dropped that trailer. But before we do that, I'd like to say, as usual, a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch with us this week on the mailbag, as we used to call it. Remember that, guys? Well, on the mailbag.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You can, if you want. Yeah, as usual, you can get in touch with us at any time you want. You can either leave us a comment on the show, so you can get in touch at whosviews1@gmail.com. It's always
Are you
great.
allowed to say mailbag? Can I just check on that? Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a good term for Ncuti, isn't it? He's a right mailbag, isn't he?
Yeah.
A huge thank you to everyone that's got in touch this week again, especially to Sir Stephen Rogerson and his brother Mike. Hello there. I know they're watching. Colin Smith, to the Forbidden Man, thank you. Arthur, I hope I'm saying this right, Arthur Danielis, to Jim Hillis 3745, to Mark Poskate, to Stephen Wortman, to the new Who hater. Wonder what he's all about. To Triple Jazz Music is all. Exorphian, I hope I'm saying that right. Exorphian. To Right Charlie, I Love to Be Paul. Hi, Paul. Watkin 2814, to Walter White Jr., to Jarby 66, to Morgan Peake, and to Jonathan as well. Thank you all so much for joining and being with us and sending me all your details and giving us a message this week. Really, really appreciate that. Before we kick off, I'd also like to say a few congratulations on this show, if I may, here on the 2nd of March 2025. The first person I'd like to say congratulations to is the person that I still to this day say we were robbed of when it came to show running Doctor Who. One of my favourite contenders for the role has gone on record to say he never even thinks he was in the contentions, the whole list of being a possibility. And by God, he keeps proving them wrong because it is, of course, congratulations to Toby Whithouse. There he is there. Huge Doctor Who fan, great talent. He, of course, has written for the new series, the reboot series over the last 20 years. Done some really nice episodes as well. He's done some other stuff as well. You will know him, of course, for Being Human. Is that the right one, guys? Have I said that correctly?
Being Human, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I just want to say a personal, huge congratulations for his latest television epic, Bergerac, which you can see now on u.co.uk. It's a 6-episode series available right now on u.co.uk. It's also showing, if you're here in the UK, on U and Drama on Thursdays where it's premiered, and then it's repeated on Saturdays, both times at 9 o'clock. I want to say huge congratulations to Toby and everybody that's involved with this. because I watched the first episode. Now, you know me, I don't really watch telly because I don't think there was anything at all that can grab my attention. And boy, was I wrong with Bergerac. The only reason I watched it, guys, of course, is because it was Bergerac. It was the new version, the remake.
I've heard Zoe Wanamaker spoilers coming up as Charlie Hungerford. Is that right?
She's Charlie, and she's great.
Yeah. Right.
Because this is a reboot. The only thing that's the same in it is the car. They've got the original car that John Nettles has. It shows just how good Toby is at writing, show running, the theme tune, the lots, First episode,
is he singing the theme tune? Is he?
No, he doesn't. The theme tune is the
I
original.
to hear that.
They've kept the original theme tune and more or less even the same titles. It's very nicely done. I'm very impressed with it. It's a proper modern day police inspector type drama. The thing you want. It's 6 episodes. It's one big story now. It's 6 episodes rather than the usual different story a week. So it's fleshed out more. They can flesh out the characters more. I was very impressed, and Jersey still looks gorgeous, by the way. So I'd like to say
on a Toby tangent, JT, I was flicking the channels and watching Goodnight Sweetheart the other night there, and Toby was in an episode as an actor.
That's right.
And he was playing like someone from the future who was trying to work out why there were all these different entrances, different time zones, which I thought was very appropriate, being a Doctor Who writer. But he was an actor. He was very good at it, I have to say. Yeah.
Well, he was in one of Peter Capaldi's apparently. It's probably the one I haven't seen because I don't
He's in
remember
the one with David Bradley. Yeah.
So it's the one I haven't seen, but there he's in that as well. But I recommend this. I hugely recommend this, and that was only part 1. Bergerac, congratulations everybody! Showing on You and Drama. Thursdays is the premiere for that. It's repeated on Saturdays, both at 9 o'clock. But you can get all 6 episodes right now to download on you.co.uk. Well done, Toby. I'm going to be loving that one. I know I am. It just looked good. It felt good. I thought, yeah, I'm going to watch this. Miracles will never cease. More about the Doctor Who trailer later. I also want to say a huge congratulations as well to somebody that we've mentioned here. On Who's Views every now and then. It's this lady here. This, as you may remember, if you recognize it, is Charlotte Moore, BBC content officer, everybody, because Charlotte Moore has, of course, been a great supporter of the new Ncuti Gatwa RTD2 Doctor Who. But
someone has to be, surely.
Yeah. She must feel so proud.
Well, we have featured her several times where she's come out to say there's nothing wrong with the series. I'm ad-libbing there, but you know what I mean. So we've spoken about it before. But huge congratulations, because, of course, she is abandoning the BBC. As reported in the Express this week, top BBC boss Charlotte Moore quits the broadcaster after 18 years. Chief Content Officer Charlotte Moore is leaving the broadcaster later this year. She has taken the role of CEO of Left Bank Pictures and Creative Director of International Production at Sony Pictures Television, everybody. She is set to succeed Andy Harries, who's stepping back from the role to become Sony-owned Left Bank's Executive Chairman. Congratulations to him too. In a statement, Charlotte said, "It's been an honour to lead the BBC creatively as Chief Content Officer at a time of unprecedented change, championing the very best British storytelling across radio and television. I'm very proud of what we've achieved during my time at the helm, transforming our offer and supporting iPlayer to become the fastest growing streamer in the UK." Okay, that's what she says.
Do you think she'll be dipping into Bad Wolf if she's part of Sony now?
I don't think so, and that's another story. That's right. Another story.
My question is why is she leaving? Don't they like her content? Is that what the problem is?
Maybe before she's pushed.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe because the BBC's in an absolute mess, and they give her more money. And if they give her more money, good for you. Yeah. But let's see what they do with it. Martin Brown's asking us, could season 2 save the show? I think it's far too late for that, actually.
Better get carried away. That's a bit delusional.
Another one over the wall, everyone, says Tim Kintz. Yes. There's nothing wrong with the series. Move along. Nothing to see here, says Paul Stenterford. Stephen Braddock, Charlotte Moore knows when to get out. What a clever girl.
Is that Puss in Boots he's drawing there? That's superb.
That's the one from Shrek, isn't it?
Yes, superb.
Yeah,
my wife loves that one.
So.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Bergerac stuff that I was talking about there, we've got Tim Kins saying to us here, really nice to see something we can get behind. I said that once in a club once on a Saturday, but never mind.
Yeah.
John is saying...
That's a different show entirely, GT, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. John is saying to us the Bergerac car is not driven in the new show, sadly. No, it's not, but at least it was there. He wakes up in it, basically, because it's, the alcohol storyline is still there. But it was nice to see it, and it's the actual original one from the original Bergerac. So that was quite a nice little nod, I thought. I bet the Bergerac fans, because yes, there are Bergerac fans, are going to be seeing all these nice little Easter eggs in these 6 episodes. There we go here. Kev, hello, Kev. Yeah, I watched some of it. It was really good. By the way, the lead was in Bergerac. I'm not sure what that is, but thank you.
Brassic's a comedy, a northern comedy. Joe Gilgun and a few others.
Right.
In that, I think it's currently got 7 series. I think it's quite popular.
Oh, well, good for him for getting the role, because even in the first episode, he's playing it very Batmanish, I would say. He's very, hi, my name's Jim Bergerac.
All right, sir. It's like, sorry, what?
Yeah, that sort of stuff. I've got used to it. He's actually putting the energy into making it down. It's all in the story. He's basically in with the story. When do we get to see Damien's bum in the Bergerac gets out of bed scene? Says, right, Charlie? Probably episode 3, probably episode 3. Bergerac not bad at all, but wish Charlie was still a fella, says John. I didn't mind actually that they've gender changed this, because I think it works well with the mother of his missus who's passed away now. So I think that's going to be an interesting new dynamic, because it's in the original one he was divorced. In this one, it's a completely different context. Arthur, there you are, Arthur. I do like Bergerac. Remakes are always hard to work both for the writers and the actors. I think if you've got somebody with the caliber of Toby, though, I think you're going to do well. And it's just a shame that, again, I'm going to say it again, we was robbed in Doctor Who. We was robbed. I would have rather had him coming off the Chibnall, to be quite honest, than Russell.
He wrote School Reunion, so I love him for that. Yeah.
He did.
I'd rather have him instead of Moffat, to be quite honest. Straight after series 4, take it forward. It would have gone to bigger heights rather than treading water with convoluted rubbish.
Rick Stum is saying that Charlotte's replacement at the BBC wished her all the luck in their future endeavours and was quoted as saying blubby blub 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 blub. If you don't know what that reference means, you had to be there.
Google Mr. Blobby. That's the best thing to do, is it?
And a huge thank you to Digby for a super chat from Digby. Can anyone shed light on the nonsense Disney is spouting about Gatwa Who reaching the audience other people wouldn't touch? Well, hopefully we will in this very show, everybody. But thank you, Digby, for your super chat. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It is another big show for you. We've got lots of you in the chats. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. I've got one other congratulations at the top of this edition of Headlines for you as well. I want to say, now it's not often you hear me saying this, so get your play and record ready on your VHS days, because I want to say a huge congratulations to BBC Studios, because yet again this week,
are you all right?
Are we on the right show, Paul? Are we on the right show?
Can we check his temperature, Ian, just to make sure he's all right?
I don't know.
I need a bit of gin.
Yeah.
Medic to aisle 3.
I think so. Yeah.
But yet again, I do want to say huge congratulations to BBC Studios, because yes, they announced this week Blake 7 Series 2. The collection is on the way on Blu-ray. You can pre-order it now, and bang! Look what happens on the Amazon charts. It's gone straight in at number 1. But look, everybody, at what is at number 2. It's Doctor Who, The Collection, Season 7. It's still in the top 3, and it hasn't moved. This has been a massive success. They're holding this position in 1 and 2 of the best sellers on Blu-ray. That is a huge achievement when British science fiction is possibly on the verge of becoming extinct again. Look at that. I want to point out yet again that artwork on the left-hand side is not the final cover. It does say there on the top left for everybody that's been messaging me saying it's a horrible cover. That's not the final cover, I promise you. But isn't that an achievement, guys? 1 for Blake 7 Series 2 and number 2 for Season 7 from 1970 of Doctor Who.
Which arrives tomorrow, Ian. So look forward to that. 3 years tomorrow for UGT, but that's okay.
I really am looking forward to that. But isn't that really embarrassing, though?
Isn't it? Yeah.
The science fiction from the BBC from 1970 and what, Series 2, 79, 80? 79 time, was it?
Yeah. 1979 for Series 2, Blake 7, yeah.
Is number 1 and 2 in the charts, and number 2 has been in the top 2 for weeks now. And
Months.
and what have they got now? I mean, look at the trailer we've seen that I know we'll come to and everything else, but that's never gonna when it's released as a series box set, that's never gonna get to number 1 and number 2. We know that. The other one disappeared without a trace, didn't it? And here you are, 1970 and 79. If that doesn't speak to those idiots in charge, nothing will. It's embarrassing.
Well, I think it's too late.
Great for us.
It's really too late.
Yeah.
And speaking of Blake 7, as I mentioned on the show an hour ago with Bergerac, tomorrow here on Who's Views, if you're a Blake 7 fan, come and join us for our Series 1 Episode 3 review, which is Cygnus Alpha. But anyway, come and join us for that live at 8 tomorrow. It's not one of my favourites. Be prepared. Scores on the teleport will never be the same after tomorrow. But yeah, but well done to BBC Studios. I think that is an amazing achievement there. Number 1 and number 2 with 2, as Ian's saying there, wow. It says it all, because Series 1 of RTD2 with Ncuti Gatwa didn't even get that high at all. I don't think it even graced the top 10. It's now way down at the bottom if you look it up on the Amazon charts. But undeterred, it's time to get to it now, because BBC Studios have, of course, started promoting the forthcoming Series 2. We all know it's coming up very soon. And this week, they started the build-up to the publicity around this series with these, the latest publicity art cards. There's the date, 12th of April, BBC iPlayer exclusively in the UK, Disney Plus in the rest of the world. And I do have to point out for people that have been getting in touch, yes, it is going to be on BBC One as well. Dates to be announced, times to be announced. Keep an eye out and stay with us here on Who's Views. But there we go. So these were the first 2 that dropped at the beginning of the week, I think they were. Fairly uninspiring, I think. They've also got these variants, in case you haven't seen these. These are larger variants, which I believe are also going to be the ones that appear on the very limited edition run of Billboards, guys.
Oh, right.
Oh, look, pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very inspiring. I don't personally think that the Doctor Who logo works in pink. I think if they were going to do a colour, I think they should have gone back to the 70s and used the orange and blue and red one that we all had. Do you remember that one?
I wish they'd chosen a different logo. That'd been better.
I don't think this deserves to use that great logo. I know how happy we were when we saw it brought back, but that was the only right thing RTD has ever done. And the fact that he's now attaching that fantastic logo from that fantastic era to this is quite insulting, to be quite honest. I'm with you, Paul. I wish to change it.
Well, I'm with you guys as well, as are most of our Who viewers in the chat. It's a shame because it's sort of tarred the image of the original brilliant run and the 8 years that that logo heralded the show. And then there was some in the Wilderness years. Remember when the magazine and all it went back to the diamond logo as well until '96 when Sagal went for the Pertwee logo. The colour scheme of the press pick, says Legion of James. They just can't help themselves. There's a lot of people reading things into that, and I had to say, I decided to turn a blind eye, but of course it is the trans colours that they're using in that as well, as if to push something subliminal. But of course the TQ cult fan base is going, oh my God. You've all seen it. I know you've all seen it. It's a rather faded pink logo too, says Robert Payne. Yeah, it's as though they didn't quite have the gall to go the full way, isn't it?
They didn't have all the crayons to do it. That was the problem. Yeah.
it's a rather faded interpretation of the series as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it kind of fits, really.
So it's maybe appropriate, yeah.
Pink logo, says Frank Spencer, laughing at it. And Golden Age Geek is saying it's now first going on iPlayer at 8 a.m. Is that any better than midnight? Well, stay with us. We're going to be talking about that in just a second. Paul Stenterford, the Doctor and Companion against the Starfield. How do they come up with these ideas? Don't know. I don't know. It's very similar to last year's. But very similar to last year's where we had Ncuti on the Starfield and Millie was in the police box. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So it's very similar. What else we got? Oh, thank you very much. Stephen Braddock says it all. Veratu looks bored. A pink logo and Fruity Gatto turning his back on us all. Oh, yeah. And Daleks are forever. The logo looks simple, Photoshop stamped. Look.
Well, let's hope he is turning his back on us all. That'd be good if he is.
Yeah. It's the Happiness Patrol.
We will be glad to see the back of him, won't we? That's the thing.
Paul Thomas Ashworth, PTA, saying, shouldn't it be airing on April the 1st? Well, yes, but that would ruin their plans, wouldn't it? As we've just seen.
That would mean it finished sooner, which would be good, yeah.
What have we got here? Paul Rose is saying pink. Yeah, what else would it be? FFS. Mark Greaves is saying, is she looking at her career passing by? Well, she's done and dusted, as we reported last week, aren't we? And Marjorie,
she's signing on as we speak.
Yeah, Marjorie is saying, worst picture ever. Using this classic Doctor Who logo is blasphemous. John is saying the colour scheme is a poor choice, and they've redecorated the logo. I don't like it, says Darren Apkin.
Very good.
Matt, the Silent Wee Music King, is saying to us, tear down those posters and recycle them for classic Doctor's DVD covers. I think they can do a lot better for the classic ones.
Oh, yeah.
Mark is saying to you, Ian, you're correct. Don't disrespect the logo.
Absolutely, Mark.
Mark A. Wright is also saying, I have to say that I thought the trailer was pretty good, but a good trailer does not a good series make. We'll talk about that in just a second. Yeah. And Dr. Pink, he did make the boys wink in the last series. Utter disgrace to the history of the Doctor, says Kev Gresham. Well, we're all agreed on that particular one. Time Lord Victorious, what are you saying to us? The games are deadly, they've said, for season 2, but Doctor Who certainly is deadly. Yeah, well, you know, It started, the pre-publicity has started. Paul Schlafter, 20 years ago, I was really excited for the show's return. 20 years later, there's no excitement at all.
Yeah.
All right, then. So, yeah. Hiya, Jack. Jack Thursby's with us. That's why Russell chose the iconic diamond logo to deepen the knife into classic era fans' backs. They want to wreck everything that's classic. I was having that very feeling today, actually, when I was putting the show together and looking at some stuff. I thought, because they're trying to rewrite everything in old Who, proper Who, our Who, to their image. To make it suitable for them.
If he really had faith in what he did the first time round, he would have brought back the taxi logo style. Strange how he went to somebody else's interpretation, doesn't it? It's almost like he lives off other people's work.
Funny that, eh?
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a shame these people don't get money for them either.
Yeah.
Harold Joyce is with us. It should air on April the 14th to tie in with the other sinking behemoth. That reminds me, actually, Daryl's calendar. I had a graphic ready for this, but I haven't loaded it because the trailer came up and I forgot. So I'm gonna have to do this. What we've got here, Daryl's calendar, everybody. Here we go. February was this one. Okay.
Lovely.
I had all this done, but you know, needs must. Let's change it the old-fashioned way then. There is the March one there, everybody.
Superb. Absolutely superb.
Look at that. Isn't that
scary, scary talent from that man. That is just amazing.
It really captures the great atmosphere of that story, doesn't it? Superb.
Could be a screen grab from the
it could very well be, Ian,
episode.
Yeah.
Going to be a fabulous month looking at that, I can tell you. So well done, Daryl. Well done. What else we got? Stephen Braddock saying to us that glorious diamond logo is a diamond in the rough. It certainly is now. So let's get into this then, everybody. I know you want to talk about it. Have you seen it? Within the last hour, of course, they have dropped the trailer. Now, this is a proper trailer, not just something small. Stephen Braddock is saying to us, actually, I saw the trailer today. It's all substance over style. Yeah, you could possibly say that. Let's have a look at this. It has dropped in the last hour on the BBC. There's a lot to it, isn't there? I mean, I don't know where to start. I think personally, again, stand by everybody to be shocked. I think personally, I think you're right, Stephen. I think it is style of. I think it looks very good, and I even quite like the dramatic music to it. But it's going to be down to the actual stories, as we said. But here we go. As you can see there, we've got Ncuti with hair again on the top left. It looks like that clip ties in with this story here because they're all wearing this awful sort of sacky beige, which is also probably leftovers from Revelation of the Daleks or something.
It looks a bit bland, doesn't it, in terms of the costume? And things,
it does. We've got this one as well. That, I reckon, in the top left-hand corner is the introduction episode for her. Which could also tie in with what he's doing there, of course. Now, we saw those pictures of him in the suit and the bowler tie quite a while ago. Yeah. When it was getting filmed.
There is a clip when he meets, it was on Unleashed, I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, of him coming to the hospital and his kilt and his waistcoat thing. He was doing that, the tartan thing, the waistcoat, you know.
Yeah, because we have to remember that this is basically Smith and Jones 2. because it's all set in and around the hospital, and she's a nurse, isn't she? Or
well, even that line, I'm the doctor, I'm the nurse thing. It's like that's almost as identical to what Martha said, but not so many words, Do
you know what? I think that could also be. We'll see when we get to see the context of the episode, but that could also be a laugh at all of us for Nurse Who. Do you remember that? Nurse Who, it could be something like that. Maybe. We'll see the context, everybody. Let's have a look at the next couple of pictures as well. We've got Bonnie making a return appearance, and what is obviously a very, very strange, fake-looking background in the trailer. I was very disappointed at that.
I think that's a Dr. Light episode. Yes, another Dr. Light episode. Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, the whole season is Dr. Light. Right? But anyway, Bonnie's back, everybody. That's a saving grace. She was miserably underused in the last 2 episodes she was in last year, I thought. But I'm glad to see her back. But I did think it looked terribly fake, whatever's going on behind it. Again, I will look at it again in context. There we've got the American flavored out episode that we also reported on them filming last year with the Doctor in his bow tie. I didn't like what they were saying in this.
Honey, I'm Velma. Yes, neither did I. No.
Yeah, cringe.
It is. It's again a little bit more cringe, and it's that which you've got to look at. You've got to listen to the dialogue, because we all remember, and we said it again, haven't we? This was filmed a couple of weeks or a month or whatever after a production break. It was all done at the same time as Series 1, and it's all going to continue. I know a lot of people are saying you can't judge it. Yes, we can, because it was actually put together at the same time. So his diction, his speech, his mannerisms is going to be the same performance. It's going to be exactly the same. I'm convinced.
I think this hair thing as well, we're giving Ncuti hair. He looks great with a shaved head. I know I'm slightly biased on that, but he looks great like that. But when he's got hair, he just looks a bit more comical than he should do. So it makes the Doctor look a bit stupid, ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Well, how does it happen?
I don't know.
How is it happening? I mean, it's not even addressed in the show, so it wasn't addressed in the one with the Beatles last year, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, we did. I remember a line saying we've got wigs in the costume room or something like that. The wardrobe room.
Oh, was that? So you were paying attention? I was probably asleep at that point.
Well, I was nodding off. I had to wake myself a couple of times by stabbing a fork into my leg. That really helped.
Maybe it's supposed to be perception filter rubbish. Who knows?
Oh God, yeah.
But you should put a line in there, because 1 minute he's bald, the next minute he is, and what's going on? The Doctor doesn't do that. He never has, especially in the original proper show. He never did that. So there's some context there, please. That would be great. So we've got that particular one there. So we know that's set in America, don't we? That bottom right hand one.
Yeah, that's with the cartoon character, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, the cartoon character, which makes an appearance here.
Yeah,
and we now know, of course, that is voiced by Alan
Cummings. Yeah. Again, yeah.
Yeah, apparently you were telling me he's been in Doctor Who before.
He was in the Witch Finders or Hunter of Its with Jodie as James V. With James V, James II came out. But anyway, James something, King James. Yeah.
Right. It was all eminently forgettable.
Again, it's more jobs for the TQ cult, because
they did.
He's very much on that side. He's very much there.
Oh, very much is.
He's also a friend of Nicola Sturgeon. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. But there we go. There, not somebody.
They did almost drown the Doctor in that episode. Unfortunately,
they did. So for kudos for that, at least.
Yeah.
Somebody I wouldn't.
They tried.
They tried. Yeah. Must try harder is the point. Yeah.
Again, because of his personal politics and because he is part of this TQ cult, it shows, in my opinion, it's all click, 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 click. They approved. Again, I haven't seen anyone yet that's turning around saying a woman is a woman involved in this series for years, or a man is a man, or LGB without the TQ. But that's just me. Interesting that they actually at last using those 2 great big round screens in the bottom right there.
And then we've got this kind of mystery box that there's a connection between that character from Boom and now Belinda. It's like, oh God, here we go again, same stuff again.
Yeah, same stuff. Yeah. I don't understand why they do this, because it doesn't need to be explained if you've just taken in the same actress because you liked her performance and she'd fitted in with everybody, because there's no general public watching this. You don't need to explain it. And it's only going to be the diehard fans that are going to remember what happened last year. I mean, I'm only remembering because I watched it and I know I'm a fan, but not.
And she's an actor. She's like to play different parts. You know what I mean? It's not a problem,
Yeah.
Don't
you're right,
talk down to your audience, you know. But
you're right, it's been done again. It's all been done in Doctor Who over the last 20 years. It's as though they've run out of ideas. We will come to you in the chat soon. I'll catch up with you, but I want to get through this and then we'll come and talk to you in the chat.
Do you think it's JT? Can you put that other picture back up with her on the screens? Do you think it's a coincidence that those two screens mimic the shape of the sonic screwdriver? It's just come to me now.
No, it's not. It's all the same. It was all planned for them.
Was it?
So it's
shows you how much I've paid attention, doesn't it? I just thought that looks like his ridiculous sonic screwdriver.
Yeah,
so
I think
I hadn't noticed that myself. Actually, I'm with you. It passed me by, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure somewhere it said the similarities were deliberate.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What have we got here? Timescales are saying, oh yes, Ruby is not in this trailer. She is. She's in there with her new boyfriend. Her love interest is in there with her as well. She's got these sort of, I've got the picture, we'll show it if I remember next week. I've had it for a little while, but the monsters and that are
the hand coming up.
Yeah, they seem to be some sort of dog-like creature, really. I'll show it if I remember next week. We'll show it next week, but I've had it there for quite a while.
Did either of you think of it when you saw the skeleton? Did you think of one of our dinosaurs is missing? I did.
Oh, I love that film. Love that film.
It didn't seem that convincing either.
No, it didn't. No.
I thought, oh, that's a little bit ropey. But
we've got that from Mrs. Lisa Pertwee. Gatwa tells us that he's not Scooby-Doo, he's Velma. I kid you not. Yeah, we heard that one. Not a very good line at all. Does the pseudo doctor now have a wardrobe with wigs? Asks Enspiel.
Yeah. I think he does. Yeah. It could be worse. You could have said he'd be Shaggy. Couldn't he? I suppose, but
could be. Paul Rose is saying the FX looks great. I can't see Ncuti as the Doctor. Honey and Velma sums it up. I just can't. Yeah, I mean that was a really stupid thing to put into the trailer because it shows you that the language is going to be the same and it's all going to be about this queer version of the Doctor, which is not what we want. Martin Brown is saying that the trailer looks good. I'm not going to disagree with you, Martin. The trailer does look good, but as the others have said in the chat, it's going to be about the substance. And how many trailers have we seen for all sorts of things that are fantastic, and then you go to the film or you watch the TV show and it's utter nonsense?
And the trailer's the best bits, all put together. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, JT, you said the music for the trailer sounded great.
I think it did sound good
early on. But if you think back to the trailer for Capaldi's last season with Bill Potts, the trailer music in there was quite energetic. I thought that music sounds really good. It never appeared in the series at all.
Well, I'm hoping this doesn't either because it is good. I don't remember that trailer, I'm afraid, Ian.
Right.
Is that the one with the three of them walking towards the camera, the explosions behind them? Was that the one you mean?
I think that was in it, yeah. I just remember the music in it was quite energetic and it sounded good and it had sort of like very synthy little bits to it. And then comes to the episodes, didn't feature at all in any of them.
No, you said I don't remember. I don't remember seeing the trailer. I think at that point I was sort of tuning out because I was watching it because it was Doctor Who and it was routine and you had to do it because you'd signed a contract to be a Doctor Who fan. But I don't remember much of those last few years of Doctor Who. It was just so.
No, you've torn the contract up. Understand that? It's fine.
Yeah. To be honest, the trailer had a lot of cut paste from previous eras, says Legion of James, but it failed to resemble Doctor Who. And what's with the 70s stereotypes being used for Ncuti? Noodle Arms is saying the season 2 trailer is just effects and nothing else as the people behind this backstab does. And that picture of her at the window is very close encounters. There are lots of what I recognize as other things, to be honest, in this. And that might be intentional. It might not be intentional.
Yeah. Well, there's so many. They're influenced by many things. I mean, the creature from the cartoon coming off the screen. That idea of a character coming off the screen is being used in many things as well. You know, it's not very original, is it?
No, not anymore. Mark Greaves has given us this a super chat here. Hello, Mark. Thank you very much. It reminds me of a magician distracting the audience from looking too hard at how a trick works. Flash special effects won't fix lack of acting and writing. Again, we've got to judge it in context when we come. At the moment, I want to make sure that everybody knows we're looking at the trailer only that's just dropped on BBC One in the last hour and a bit. Hello to Post Bunny, nice to see you. Sorry, no spoilers. I don't think it gave away that much, did it? Really?
Not really.
No. And X-Man 577, Ruby has a boyfriend. Yes, she does. He was in there. We knew he was coming a couple of years ago when they started filming this thing in 24. I can't remember the actor's name and I didn't write it down because I didn't realize he was going to be in the trailer, but that's him in there because time has moved on for Ruby when we get to meet her again, if you're interested.
I'm amazed it's male, to be quite honest.
Well, that's a point. I'm white as well from the look of it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this as well. Ron Sapp saying, in the suit, he looks like Pee Wee Herman. And Jack is saying, Carl, listen, I heard there was a straight white actor appearing, but thankfully it was just a rumor.
Yeah.
I know, they get everywhere, don't they, Jack? What else have we got here as well? Yes, thank you very much for joining us all, everybody. Keep it coming. I'll try and keep up with you. I'm doing a terrible job of it at the moment, but I know. But could those round screens be any more pink? You sound like somebody from Friends there for a second, Craig. That's not the way I'm reading that. Could those round screens be any more pink? I don't know. But yeah, there were lots of bits and pieces. I am quite pleased to see Bonnie coming back though, and I can't see them doing her any justice though again, because she was terribly wasted in those other 2 episodes. Whatever they were.
She was.
Julianne saying the skeleton reminded me of the giant cat in the goodies, and Daleks are forever saying the trailer looks crap. Sally's with us. Hello, Sally. Wagon Black. I like the cartoon monster, but I wish that story had been in proper Doctor Who, not this garbage. Yeah, probably. Doc Martin's with us, guys. On a side note and proper Doctor Who related, I'm loving the Invasion Cyberman head behind Ian.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself, but is he in the 5 Doctors? He's like one of the very short Cybermen. Because you can only just see his head there. He's 4 foot tall. It's beautiful, Ian. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Sorry, my
Christmas card
connection just went there. I missed all of that.
They were complimenting the Cybermen behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying, as a little Cyberman, he's 4 foot tall.
Very small Cyberman.
Yeah.
He's kneeling and worshipping at the Church of Whose Views.
Okay, fair enough. That's understandable. Yeah.
John is telling us that the trailer will lead you up the garden path. And Bundy 4077, where was the regeneration? Ooh, I don't think we're going to get one. Small Swole Goat, hello to you. With Belinda Mundy thing in the trailer, are they just doing Clara again? That's a very good point. There were overtones of that whole thing. It's about you, going to get you home, the long way round. It could be the greatest hits this year. Who knows? It's because it's getting that
again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's have a look at the last bit as well, because you've all got to that bit as well. I've got 2 more pictures here. Yes, Anita Dobson is back in it. There she is, top left. And adding mystery to her character, he says, building it up a little bit. She's actually far into the future in this particular one, not living next door to Ruby, but she's at the Interstellar Song Contest, as we knew was coming, everybody. Yes, this is the episode, of course, that has been written by Juno, oh my God, Dawson. And as we've been saying on headlines for quite a while, Paul, there's Rylan.
Yeah, is he a robot? I mean the character, not maybe Rylan is a robot. He might be.
Yeah. RTD just can't help himself, does he? He did it with what's her name, Davina, didn't he? In the introductory Christmas episode, he did it in the original run of 20 years ago. He has to have people who are current in the show, whether it be, God bless her, Barbara Windsor. He had Paul O'Grady, God bless him. Who else did he put into it? I can't remember the 2 women in the robots.
Trini and Susanna,
Trini and Susanna.
Whatever the names were. But he can't help himself because he thinks it's going to bring people in. So here is Rylan. Now, if you are outside the United Kingdom, you will have no idea who this person is. Rylan is an alleged entertainer who I don't find very amusing at all. And since he starred on some reality television singing show and made a complete fool of himself from all accounts I found out, he's forged a career. He's now a presenter.
Forged being the opposite word, I think, yeah.
Yes, he's a presenter though. He gets television shows, doesn't he? He's also on BBC Radio 2. No surprise there. Not that I've ever heard it. I just don't see the attraction in this fella at all. Not at all, but he's made a complete success out of people's gullibility in my eyes. He's also had his teeth fixed, so people very unkindly are always talking about the plastic teeth that he sports quite nicely here. But here he is as one of the hosts in the Interstellar Song Contest here in the 2nd series of Doctor Who. And as we were coming on to air, thanks to Kirsty, who's always on the ball when it comes to the Instagram. Yes, Juno Dawson couldn't help but get onto the back of the trailer, could he? And here he is. He's posted that picture of Juno there. He is with Rylan on the set. I'm from Juno's Instagram, and it says there, in the words of Belinda Chandra, is that Rylan? Well, so there we go.
This is almost as a close to guard the secret as David Tennant coming back, wasn't it? To be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what the big fuss is about, because everybody seemed to know he was going to be in Doctor Who. But again, who cares? Who cares?
Let's see. This is episode 5, I've heard. So is that when
it's on when
Eurovision's on?
Eurovision's on. I think that's been the plan and the agreement. The BBC One, what do you call them? Not coordinators. What do you call them? The day
programmers,
program planners, or whatever they're called these days. Yeah. So Doctor Who, like last year, will be on. Let's see what time it's on, but it's going to be on, because the Eurovision, of course, goes on for about 10 days.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's on. But it didn't work for them last year. People actually didn't tune in for Doctor Who. They just tuned in for the Eurovision, because the Eurovision went up in the ratings. More of that coming up with.
Well, that was the week they did Please Come Back for episode 2, wasn't it? Remember
yes,
that?
It was,
yes, it was. Lee Smith is saying to us, Rylan and a cat alien. That's right. And Daryl, the fictional character coming out into the real world, is presumably Barbie influenced. Oh, the cartoon thing. I don't know. Why was something like that?
Well, Michael they've done it in various other things as well before Barbie, I think. Yeah.
Michael reckons that Miss Flood is Razalon. It wouldn't surprise me now. And hello, Rose Kirby's with us. Rose Kirby is with us. Hello, Rose. Hope you are well. Hey, folks, remember to love, like, and hit the tap buttons. Yeah. Share the video on your channel and subscribe. Yes, please. Thank you for that, Rose. Yes, please. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to us. If you are not new to the channel, please check to make sure you are still subscribed. There's a couple of people said in the show with Bergerac before this one, they had to resubscribe. So hopefully, Legion of James, you are still subscribed. Matthew Burrows said Dobson just got on my nerves in a reference to Anita. It hasn't even started yet, Matt.
Yeah.
There are lots of rumors that Ruby ditches her boyfriend and ends up the new companion, says Steve Braddock. Yeah, I think you're taking the pee there, aren't you? Is that a little thing to Rose? Is it? I think it is. Hello, Lex. Nice to see you. The trailers for Gatwa era are not selling me to change my mind. It's the end, and the moment is coming for the end of the RTD vision of Doctor Who.
I think Vision's maybe stretching it a bit, isn't it?
Possibly. Yeah. The Macronon, hello, mate. Wilkes line of the trailer. Shooty replying to new companion, telling him that he's Scooby Doo. To which Shooty replies, "I'm Velma, honey." I'm not going to like that, and we know it's coming now. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just going to be a bit odd, isn't it?
Predictable, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it really is. Domgo is saying it's so sad that they had all this cash and flushed it all down the toilet. John Roberts, there's no point me watching the trailer as I won't be watching the series. Yawn. So it didn't work for you then, John. And Aaron, hiya, Aaron. Is Mr. Ring-a-Ding-Dong-Ding-Ding a reference to the Ring-a-Ding-Dong-Ding-Ding Girl Twilight Zone episode from 1963? I don't think they're that clever.
No.
It's probably stolen from it, yeah, no doubt, allegedly. So.
Well, everything's borrowed in Doctor Who these days, because I generally think they've run out of ideas now. They're even borrowing from their own recent 20 years ago. Tim Kintz, if the trailer had kicked off with the trailer, that would have been glorious. And Dibby saying, there's still no returning classic monsters. That's a mercy, I guess. I don't want these idiots messing around with the Daleks. Now, as I've said before many times, I think they won't do that because the Daleks are problematic.
Yeah. I'm hoping not. There's been fan speculation that one of the clips is Skaro, as a city that looks like Skaro, but it could be anywhere, to be honest.
As Lex is saying to us, RTD can't change the record. Well, and the Forbidden Man reminded me of Star Wars and being on the Death Star. Which bit did? I don't know what they're saying. Good grief, how many teeth does Rylan have? Says Dr. Martin Who.
All of them.
Oh, this is a point. Small Swole Goat is saying, oh, so this will just be a worse version of Bang Bang a Boom on the audios. I'd forgotten about
Big
that.
Finish did that years ago with Sylvester McCoy and Mel, yeah.
Was it not Colin and Mel?
No, Sylvester and Mel, yeah.
Was it?
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was Colin and Chris.
No, it's Sylvester and Mel, definitely, yeah.
I've got that one.
Which one was
not very good.
Which one was Biggins in?
That one.
That's the one Doctor. That's
oh, is it? Oh, right. Okay. I don't remember one. I don't remember anything else then.
That's very good, though. I like that one. Yeah,
it was fun. It was a Christmassy one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tim Kins is saying Juno Dawson upping the male quota of rices. Then, yeah, it's not very DEI focused, is it? And Post Bunny saying to us, "Oh man, there was a contest. I wish I'd heard about it. I totally had a good idea. I could have entered." Which contest? Have I missed something? Which contest was that? Lovely. I don't know. Say Rosie Mead. Hello. Haven't watched the trailer as not watching the next season. Matt Silent Music King. Rylan must go. Oh, goodness
you watch
me.
will be the next Doctor.
There isn't going to be a next one. And Spiel, I nearly found the energy to watch the trailer. Oh, whoa. Robert Payne, Ryland is very off-putting. I'm getting the sense that it didn't go down well with our audience necessarily.
He'd fit doing Eurovision, but it's not Doctor Who, is it? Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah. Bill Larry wants to know, is Rylan viewed as funny at all? By a minority.
For the wrong reasons, I'd imagine, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't find him funny. Lots of you in here. Jack saying to us here, Rylan, I'm in Doctor Who. No, Rylan, bless you, you're not. I know, yeah. I mean, look at him. He's I've done Doctor Who. I've Doctor Who. Can we have a chat about that? Actually, have you really? I know Rylan Clark, says Marjorie Diodon. Oh, bless you, Marjorie. He did Celebrity Big Brother. Not amused. Oh, did he do that? I don't know which reality show. I thought it was a singing one. I get them all.
They all sort of like go in a cycle around all.
Yeah,
the time,
yeah. It's like a tour of
that
kind of
paid.
Yeah.
They get paid, and they can get paid quite handsomely if they start to go. I mean, look at that Alison Hammond. Look what she's done with her career.
I'd rather.
Well, she's on everything now. She's the new Bradley Walsh, isn't she? To be honest.
Yeah.
And what talent has she actually got apart from being absolutely lucky? I mean, it does annoy me when these people go on a reality show and then suddenly they're offered everything under the sun, because I've got friends that trained for years at drama schools and went to the courses and did presenting courses and learned how to speak correctly and all the correct pronunciations and all this sort of stuff. Unemployed.
Yeah.
Unemployed. And it's not because they haven't got talent. They've got loads of talent. It's because they can't get into it, because all these no marks over the last 20, 30 years from the blooming reality television shows were cheaper, basically, until they got to a certain level. Paul Stenford, no one cares about Eurovision anymore, as no one cares about Modern Who. Maybe this is an appropriate team up. Well, last year's Eurovision went down like a lead balloon here in the UK because it was completely and utterly far left politics. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I mean, it was shocking. I didn't watch it because our Eurovision entry with Ollie wasn't going to set the
He's
world
the
on
next
fire.
Doctor, I believe, if I get one.
Not again. So, I'd be interested to see how the British public react to this year's, because they're not going to forget. And again, the world has moved on. The world has moved on. Britain is beginning to move on again, much to the horror of many people, as I discovered over the last few days. Hello, Digital Pollution. Hello, chaps. Hello, chats. Nice to see you. And Sally is saying the guy is annoying as hell when it comes to Rylan.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to avoid watching that episode on principle. Yes, me too, Robert. I'm in two minds whether or not I should be watching it, because it has been written by a known homophobe, and I've avoided his work for years and years and years now, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be tuning in for that particular one. Stay tuned with us here on Whose Views, and I'll let you know. Hello to Peter Venkman Fansite. It's good to see you as well. Eurovision, says Mudcrab. What happened to the Irish bint who was a witch? She seemed to think she was about to get. Oh yeah, in real life, yes, I see what you mean. Yeah. Hopefully, she's in a padded cell, like most of them should be. Quite frankly,
it's probably the one playing the cat with Rylan.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Cat. Lots of you in the chat. It's great to see you all. Post Bunny saying to us, no, who is that other Time Lord lady from earlier on? I think Miss Flood is, what was her name? The Rani or something. The Rani. Yeah. Do you reckon Miss Flood is the Rani, Post Bunny? Originally originated in Doctor Who in 1985 in The Mark of the Rani, played by the legend herself, Kate O'Mara, returned in 1987 in Time and the Rani. And that's it. I won't.
Dimensions in Time.
That's all she was in. Oh gosh, we do miss Kate O'Mara.
I have to say, Dimensions in Time is better than season 2. I have to say that. You have to admit that, Julie.
You can't argue
I'll say that now.
That's fact.
I'm not admitting anything, all right? Pooh's Lost Eyes, it's good to see you. Why would RTD go out of his way to change, mutilate Davros if he wasn't going to use him in the main show? This might be a disaster. That's one of the reasons. And hello to Matthew. Hi, Matthew. How do you all complain about no Daleks after complaining about too many Daleks for years? I didn't say I've never complained about. I love the Daleks. I love the Daleks. So I've never complained about the Daleks, but I do know that they had to have them in. We're going to be talking about this in our reviews coming up this month, I'm sure, because the Daleks, the Terry Nation estate, cracking deal, saying that, okay, if you want to use the Daleks, you have to use them in at least one episode every year. What a deal that was. And they did. They did. Great for the BBC, though, because they got so much money from the blooming spin-off merchandise. You know? great stuff there. So I know some fans got fed up with them, but I don't know. I like the Daleks. I don't mind.
I think it's how they were used is the problem. You know, there weren't many great Dalek stories. That's the problem. You know,
it was never very imaginative, was it? And I think through the history of classic proper Who, the Daleks had always shown some variation in livery as well. So while the design never got tired or boring, they always looked slightly different, be them silver and blue in the early days, black domes, gunmetal dark like Planet of the Daleks and Day of the Daleks, which are my personal favourite, to really sort of different shades of grey to white and gold and everything else. Whereas this, apart from Dalek Sec, we've just had bronze for 20 years. The Daleks were never that static.
I've never been
I'm
that
ignoring. I'm ignoring the paradigm because they just.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
I want to say hello to Dua. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. Also, thank you to Digby for another super chat here. So sad that RTD has turned this one great, scary, imaginative science fiction adventure series into a boring showbiz circle. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. We're always getting rules on the platform, so I'm going to be very careful. That's why
he's a very naughty boy. Let's put it that way.
He is. Thank you so much, Digby. Now, also to Rick Storm. Now, Rick, I've got a story about this because Rick Storm, if you listen to the podcast, has said to us, Daleks, we've arrived. Sorry, we're late. Sing our song, Exterminate. Now, years and years ago, I used to work in the odd pub or club as a DJ, and I used to do DJs. And in one of my venues I had to do in London, they had this screen that I could get access to. And I used to love it because I could incorporate footage from artists in their concerts into the nights I was doing. So I could play things, all the usual stuff that we used to have when we were allowed to have gay bars, your Madonnas, your Kylies, all this sort of stuff. And I used to be you'll be very surprised to learn, everybody watching that. I'm quite theatrical. So there was one particular night where I thought I'm going to do something different. So as a particular tune faded out, the screen dramatically and beautifully came down, and what I was showing on it was that scene from the Christopher Eccleston series where the Doctor is saying to Rose, he's arguing with the Daleks. He says no. Do you remember? He says no. Explain, says the Dalek. It means no. That classic scene where Eccleston is just on top form, and it ends with Rose, I'm coming to get you. Cue goosebumps all over us. Do you remember?
Yeah. Well, that fantastic cliffhanger, all the Daleks flying it.
Yes.
Superb.
And so what happens there, of course, is that's where, Rick, I started to play Exterminate by Snap. And the song goes in and then the screen goes back up. But everybody was just like, what a night. It worked beautifully. Anyway, sorry about that. I've gone off on one there telling you about that, but there you go.
If you want Dalek singing, you should listen to Jubilee. That's a fantastic.
No, we don't want Dalek singing. No,
we don't want Dalek.
Jubilee was a step too far, Paul.
And the content of the story it worked, but it was very silly. Yeah.
No, I don't think. No. Yeah. I'm glad I haven't listened to that. No. Domgo, I agree with JT. Very wise. 10 points to you. This season is heading to 6-figure viewing figures. Oh, I'm determined to win one of those pencils over there. I tell you. Sally is saying to us, Eurovision stopped being a singing contest a long time ago. It's now the Eurovision political song contest. Well, yeah, it is. It's all political voting. They all vote for their neighbour, don't they? Yeah. And they never liked us even before Brexit. Now that I've watched this defilement of a show since the Flux, says Legion of James, but out of principle, I wouldn't watch Mr. Dawson's episode. Yeah, so that's probably you and me there.
Compared to Flux, compared to season 2, Flux looks quite good. Honestly.
Yeah. I love Eurovision up until last year, says Frank Spencer. It was a real hard slog last year. A lot of real hardcore Eurovision fans not happy last year. And Heretic OSJC, don't disrespect the dimensions in time. I will, so it doesn't count. Doesn't count. Blah, blah, blah. Paul Schlefter, shut up.
I'm a Paul. Good idea. Yeah.
For the podcast,
we should all wear the 3D glasses as well.
I've got them over there somewhere. Paul Schlechter is saying for the podcast, Whose Views should do a Dimensions in Time episode. Well, to be quite honest, you don't know what's coming up later this year, do you? You don't know what's happening. Who's Mrs. Flood? Who gives a flying spaghetti a steady on, Rob? Steady on, you naughty young man. But yes, lots of it in there. So there we go. That's what's happening there. That's a trailer. That has dropped. Let's have another look at it again because I took the time within an hour to get the screen grabs for you. Here we are. There's Ncuti with the wig on the left. There's the new lady there, Viradu Setu. Now, if you go to the BBC One Facebook page, they've actually done an introduction to the trailer where she said her name, but I didn't take it in as much.
Belinda Chandri, I think her character's name is.
Yeah. We've got these pictures here.
That's Mr. Ben. Yeah.
I love Mr. Ben. Bonnie. I wonder how many episodes Bonnie's in. I heard 2.
It'll be the 2 without Ncuti then.
Maybe.
She'll get the highest ratings as well.
Can you imagine if Bonnie gets her own episode? I'd love it if Bonnie gets her own episode of Doctor Who as the Doctor Light one.
You'd be in your element.
I'd love it. Can you imagine if she's, with all that world around her disintegrating, can you imagine if she's got to get some sort of message to the Doctor in the episode or something? And it's all about her trying to do that. I'd watch that and love that, probably.
What I noticed about the trailer, that section from Eurovision with the aliens in the crowd, they're not very alien-y, are they? They've got like pixie ears. They're really not keen to show you monsters or aliens, are they, in the show anymore?
They're making the creatures more fantasy directed, aren't they?
Yeah.
Pixies, elves, fairies, pussycat ears.
Not very exciting, really.
No.
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 Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us in the chat this evening. It's nice to see you all. You are watching Headlines. This is your Sunday big show here on the channel. Great cliffhanger, says Time Lord Victorious. The moment the Doctor says they're insane, they hate their own existence. That's the cliffhanger to whatever it was called.
Bad Wolf, is it?
No, that was the one in Wales. Parting of the Ways, was that the last one? What's it
That's
called?
the second episode, yeah.
Hang on, I'm getting annoyed. I have to look it up. Hang on, here it is. It was called... Yeah, it was Bad Wolf, sorry, yeah. Boomtown Bad Wolf, yeah, well done.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Poor Steph saying it was a brilliant ending. I was so excited. Happy days. And what about the Davros Stavros kebab mix? Got it. Love it. Well, I don't know about you. Oh, right. Charlie is saying, I can't find Bergerac anywhere. I'm going to ask at this point, Kirsty, could you possibly, if you haven't already, pop the link in again for Right Charlie there to show him where the Bergerac link is. Thank you so much, my lovely. Thank you to Kirsty and to Garbage who are joining us in the chat, making sure everybody's looked after in there. Legends. So again, thank you for them. Tim Kinter saying, I wish I were gay so I could have gone to a club like that, but since I'm straight these days, they'll let me. Listen, they're not letting me in either. I can tell you. Honestly, they don't let me in. I've been barred from a lot of them because I know that a man and a woman is a woman. And I've been called all sorts of names by the alleged community that I actually helped to achieve rights for. I did my bit. Ungrateful loss, aren't they? But anyway, thank you very much for joining us all there. What's this from David B? Hello, David B. The way to get through the Eurovision episode is to imagine the tidal wave for sarcasm that the great late Sir Terry Wogan would have given. Do you know what? Maybe if Satel was still with us, RTD would have approached him and paid the couple of million to get him in the show. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
He'd certainly have tried, wouldn't he?
That's where the Disney money's gone to get Rylan. That was very expensive, obviously.
Oh dear, I hope not. And Jordan C. Hello, Jordan C. I'm not going to lie. It actually looks good, this series, judging by the trailer. I feel more excited for this series than I did the last one. Well, at least we've got one. I have to say to you, I thought the trailer looked, I'm going to say slick.
I thought the trailer last year looked quite slick as well, but then we saw the episode. So
I don't remember the trailer for last year at all. But this one I probably would remember. I think it did look quite packed, but these are probably all the good bits from the first 3 episodes or the first 5 episodes or something to sell it. Because this year around, we've got to say, Jordan, I reckon this is a hard sell for them this year because, as we've been saying here on Headlines, time has moved on. The world has moved on. This thing is, they produced it 3 years ago. It's out of date.
I think, JT, that I agree with you on that. I think it's a hard sell. I don't think it's a hard sell going for the television audience either. I think they're going to gloss it up. I think they're going to do a really, really big run in these 6 weeks until it starts. And I think it's going to be entirely with the intention of trying to attract somebody else to help them make any more of it, personally.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's
not only a hard sell, it's a hard watch as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And that trailer's what, 30, 45 seconds long in total? If you tot up the entire number of seconds that's going to be in this 8-episode series, that's not a very large fraction, is it? There's an awful lot that could be depressingly dull and boring and predictable. But
I'm going to give them
for production.
I do think they've done a good job on that first trailer, that particular trailer being sold in the football or after the football, wherever. I don't think it's going to work. It may excite the what's left of the fan base. I don't think it's going to pull in the British public. I think they probably would have gone off and done something else and not even bothered. But time will tell. And this is where you're going to know about it, because, of course, we're going to be doing our reviews, we're going to be doing the ratings game, and we were going to be meeting with Bedweir to do our ratings and analysis as well. Great to see Philip, Roy with us, and Superlev. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much. Who else we got? Any more on there? Yes, let's go. Aaron. Let's have the Orbital versus Delia remix for the theme. And Robert saying to us, I've got the feeling that the Galactic Song Contest audience were made to float up out of the stadium. Have you? There you go. And Daryl Joyce saying new monsters now seem to be easy cosplay. Good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point. Yeah. Legion of James, what are you saying to me? You can just hear the woke wombles now. Never mind what the stories are about. All you will hear will be, oh yes, the first all-black TARDIS crew with the first black gay Doctor, bestest ever series. Well, that started last year.
Oh, don't ruin the wombles as well, for God's sake.
Yeah. They started all that last year with some of these very ridiculous kids who notice all this sort of stuff. I was really annoyed at them, actually. It shouldn't matter. But to them, it did. Oh, look, it's the first non-white TARDIS crew ever. And they had the audacity to call other people racist. I mean, how dare they?
I'm looking forward to the first all-white program on Nigerian television, but it ain't going to bleed napping, is it? It's just funny how we beat ourselves up about how we've got to be all diverse and everything else, but nobody else has to be. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Ark in Space, it's good to see you. The trailer looked good, but not 100% sold yet. But this trailer's made me want to watch it. Well, that's what a trailer is supposed to do. As I say, I thought it was good. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to watch it because of the trailer. The only reason I am going to watch it is for this show, for this channel. R. John, hello, R. John. You all right, lad? R. John. JT, I agree. It looked slick. Sadly, as we have discovered, high production values seem to have come at the expense of good writing in recent years. Yeah, it's as though they think that, oh, we've got a higher budget, we can just CGI things in over the cracks in the script, don't they? And you know what Russell's like? And I reckon he's co-authored all these episodes with these new people, the DEI hires he's brought in. I reckon it'll be somebody, and RTD when on the credits, right? Yeah. So it hasn't released him from his workload. Because don't forget, he's got two new people to Doctor Who. One person who's done alleged Doctor Who before and done it very badly, and then one person that does know about Doctor Who. So it's a case of. It's interesting though when you look at Toby's Doctor Who, and we'll do this again when the new one's out, and Bergerac, because totally different. Totally different. The Bergerac episode 1 was a full-bodied show. Do you know what I mean? But thank you for that, R. John. Good to see you. And the best thing, says Enspiel, about this next season will be Who's Views. Bless you. You can come back anytime. Thank you so much. Nice. Rose is saying to us, I just wonder, is there an episode list? Yes, there is. Hang on. What I've got so far for you, Rose, he says, looking at his notes from other shows. It's not 100%, but this is what I've been told, Rose. Okay. Episode 1 is called The Robot Revolution.
That sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's written by RTD. I've just proved myself right, actually. Episode 2 is called Lux, which was a soap when I was a kid. Lux. Lux.
Lux. Okay, right. Okay.
By RTD. Episode 3 apparently is called 5 Miles Deep, written by RTD with Sharma Wolfall. 4 is Lucky Day by Pete McTeague. And that's all I've got so far.
So the universe is not called Bang Bang a Boom then?
Bang Bang a Boom, Bang Bang a Boom. No.
Yeah.
Stupid thing to say. What's he talking about?
So Lux sounds like Flux, but he's just taken the F, hasn't he? But then he's been taking the F for years, hasn't he, really?
Well, these are the titles I've heard about. I'm not going to say to you all that they were absolutely 100% guaranteed, but we will soon say. Again, it's another point for us to talk about here, isn't it, on Who's Views when they do release it. But this is all, as I say, been part of the big drive this week to start the launch of Series 2 of Disney Who. There was this other little item that came from the Radio Times as well, radiotimes.com. Doctor Who is making a big move to prioritize UK fans after the previous backlash. The release model has changed for the better. It continues, in the more minor details of the news is something that's actually quite a positive move for the UK fans, but less so for those across the pond. The new episodes, i.e. series 2, are going to drop at 8 a.m. on BBC iPlayer before airing on BBC One later the same day. It marks a small but notable shift from the previous season's model of episodes dropping at midnight on iPlayer a full 19 hours before broadcasting on linear TV, which we, of a certain age, used to call BBC One. In case you don't remember, let's remind ourselves that caused quite the kerfuffle, and for a good reason. For one, it was the first time Doctor Who had moved away from being event television or appointment viewing, which is perhaps impossible to avoid in the age of streaming. Personally, I think that's a load of rubbish. But more prominently, many UK fans felt that the US viewership was being prioritised over UK viewers, especially in the aftermath of the deal with Disney. While episodes would air between the very sociable hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Fridays in the States, depending on the time zone, if UK viewers wanted to watch the episodes immediately, they would need to stay up until 1 a.m., which is, of course, fine for the teenage and early 20s demographic, but less fine for those of us past the age of 25 who need our beauty sleep. Although the episodes did land on iPlayer and Disney Plus simultaneously, the difference in time zones meant that largely US viewers would see the episodes before the UK viewers. But while the new 8 a.m. drop, of course, isn't the ideal situation, that would be Doctor Who only ever airing on a dark Saturday evening when it's raining outside, it is a move in the right direction. And more than that, it means UK fans have seemingly been listened to and are being prioritised. So why is this important? Not to get all patriotic, why not? What's wrong with that? But of course, the UK is home to Doctor Who, and it's a British institution. It surely goes without saying that UK audiences should be prioritised, or at least not penalised, following the Disney deal. It was also previously speculated that the midnight release in the UK was largely Disney's decision. At that stage, Disney Plus was all about its Friday releases, and some fans wondered if the Saturday midnight release time in the UK was a side effect of the streamer wanting to release in the US on Fridays. Now, that's completely changed, with episodes set to air in the US on Saturday mornings from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. Whether or not this is an example of the BBC now standing its ground, it's impossible to say, but things are certainly looking better for UK viewers. More importantly and more practically, though, the UK viewers form the biggest part of Doctor Who's viewership and are crucial to its success. With rumours swirling about the Disney deal and whether or not Doctor Who will be commissioned for another season on the platform, the show's future is a little uncertain. If the deal does fall through, the show is going to need every one of its UK viewers on board if it's to continue to live on the BBC, so it cannot afford to alienate them with something as simple as its release time. It could be argued that the release time isn't that important. Of course, when new episodes of Doctor Who Season 14 were released at midnight, fans were free to watch them at any time of day, straight away in the middle of the night, the next morning, or even wait for the BBC One broadcast. This was showrunner RTD's argument. As he previously said, that's the point. It's choice. You're not having to change your habits to fit the show is changing to fit you, and it's changing to adopt the patterns of modern TV shows. Yes, I think all of them very soon. This is the future, and it's here right now. This is stuff he said last year. The thing is, and this is meant with love, Doctor Who fans are perhaps the least casual viewers in the world. We absolutely cannot go about our day knowing there's a new episode out there that we haven't seen. We absolutely cannot risk seeing any spoilers, and we absolutely will be prizing our eyes open at 7:50 a.m. to watch the new episodes as soon as consciousness enters our bodies. You speak for yourself. So for many of us, the new release model has in fact changed our viewing habits quite significantly. But while the days of waiting until 7 p.m. to watch a new episode may be over for us, for some of us, the 8 a.m. drop is a marked improvement compared to midnight. Doctor Who over a cuppa and a croissant, anyone? Or should we say over a pumpkin spice latte and a ham and cheese toasty? Now, the thing that this article actually does for me is it actually says what I've been saying for years. The British public is important to Doctor Who. And if there is no British public, there is no Doctor Who. This is not a show that is just made for a minority fan base. What do you guys reckon to this
Well,
news?
I don't think this can make any difference to them. Where it's 12 o'clock midnight or 8 o'clock in the morning, it's still not prioritising the viewing. So having that freedom to watch anytime you want is suicide for the BBC, for the audience figures. It's crazy, you know.
I mean, this is Peter Griffin that wrote the article last week as well that we had great hilarity at, isn't it? They do say some sensible things this time, which is Doctor Who is best on a Saturday
Louise
evening
Griffin.
when
It's
it's
Louise
dark.
Griffin.
Yeah, no. Peter Griffin was the one I'd prefer it to have been because she was so ridiculous last week.
Thank
But
you.
it's and she will forever be Peter Griffin in my head. But yeah, Doctor Who is best on a dark evening. It's dark outside, it's cold, it's wet, it's scary. You've got the lights off and you're watching it in the dark. Fantastic. That's always the best for watching Doctor Who. But apart from that, she's talking about it as if it's present tense. You know, you don't want to alienate the Doctor Who fandom. The BBC have already done that. They've already done that. They've gone. We're watching it because we want to review it. It's as simple as that. We're not enjoying it, and it's not been enjoyable for some years now. As we've said numerous times, that fan base has gone. They've made sure of it, and it won't come back. It will not come back. So I don't know why she's saying that. That, you know, stable door, wide open, horse out over the horizon, gone.
Yeah.
Way too late.
Yeah. It could be here as, I mean, it could be what I'm reading into this article here, but it seems like the article has suddenly clicked that things are not all good. Now, the Radio Times are not going to come out and say, oh my goodness, everything's bad for Doctor Who. The fan base has left, the public has, they're not going to say that. They can't. Nobody's going to say that. But it does hint, do you not think, guys? It does hint that they realize not everything is good at the moment.
If it's showing they're aware of it, that's really good. But it's too late, isn't it?
Yeah, it is too late. And I don't think, you know, why is it not at midnight anymore? Have Disney relented? The BBC versus Disney. Disney's going to win if Disney gives a toss. If Disney wants something, the BBC will capitulate. It's as simple as that. Yeah. They've probably got it to 8 o'clock because Disney don't care anymore. It's done to them. So it's like, put it on whenever the hell you like.
Well, I don't see why they can't wait till 7 o'clock, whatever time slot it's got, and release it simultaneously and do the broadcast on BBC One and Disney do it at the same time. You know,
I mean,
it's
that
not a
works.
major transmission, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I actually feel, thank you, Craig Dunlop, for saying 8 a.m. is perfect for me. I'm nocturnal, and that is the middle of the night for me. Thank you, BBC. Okay. Tim Kins has also wanted to know what is wrong with simple patriotism. Oh, wait, it's the BBC. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Because when I read that, I thought, oh, please, what's wrong with patriotism? But yeah, you're right. And 8 a.m. is when I start work most Saturdays, says the Ark in Space. But I looked at that and I also thought, yes, what is wrong? I've got this theory that they possibly may be showing this version of Doctor Who around about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Don't ask me why. I've just got a feeling this could be very early in Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Possibly so they can justify an earlier time slot for poor ratings. But that's just me at the moment. So the iPlayer, if they're going to put it on at 8 a.m., because obviously it didn't work for them putting it on at midnight. If they're going to put it on at 8 a.m., maybe they're thinking that more people will go and watch it before they start their Saturday. And it could add Saturday night figures.
When they put it on at midnight, by definition, it was all ready to watch at 8 a.m. if people wanted to.
Yeah.
Not many people did. So
So there's not much of a difference, to be honest, is there, really?
No, they're actually just taking 8 hours of its availability away, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've got I don't know what the thinking is there, but I personally do not think it's because there was an outcry from a minority of British Doctor Who fans last year, because it didn't work either way. People didn't come. It was only a certain amount of people in my eyes that actually went, oh, because we didn't care what time they were putting this thing onto iPlayer. And we did cover the outcry from these people last year, didn't we? We included some of the tweets and what have you. But it obviously didn't work for them, whatever it was, because people didn't come and sit down on the Saturday night. As we proved with our ratings analysis, the audience wasn't there. The great British public, as we keep saying, didn't give a jot, and they have gone. And it's going to happen this year. And I just think this is some sort of, desperate attempt to try and find an audience.
Like I say, it's too late. But whatever they do, whether they leave it till 7 o'clock or whatever, they'll still get the same audience because that's all that's left.
Yes, exactly. We've got Digby Strawberry saying to us, so they're admitting the domestic audience matters, but did the magical US audience not turn up then? Well, of course, the homegrown audience matters completely, especially to BBC One, who order the show. And at some point, we've all got to start looking again, like we spoke about in our hiatus show on Thursday from 1985. Slightly different circumstances, but if they're turning around this time around saying there is no audience and we're proving there's no audience, what's the point in putting millions into the show if nobody's watching it?
Yeah.
It's not important at all, says Paul Rose. A matter of hours between release times globally doesn't matter, even if it was still good.
Yeah.
And Golden Age Geek saying to us, now that Disney have allegedly not removed their deal, the BBC no longer needs to cozy up to the US audience. Now, that's a good point, Golden Age Geek, because a mate of mine said that yesterday, this could be the fact that Disney don't really care and they're just going through the motions now. And there's no dictation of saying, well, we want to put it there and you've got to have it at the same time, because it didn't work for them either. It didn't increase their subscription level, did it, Paul?
I think, to be honest, though, I mean, whether they've got a future deal coming, they still have contractually to deal with what they've already done. You know what I mean? So they're still committed to it in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Julianne's saying to us, more likely Disney don't care when they show it because of the tiny audience. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. And Farsight saying it's a bit late to worry about alienating fans. Far too late, isn't it, mate? Far too late.
It really is.
Wait, says Mudcrab, the UK viewers in form the biggest part, so 2 million of them. That does imply the rest of the world is less than that. Yeah, and digital pollution. I don't care what time they show it. I ain't watching it.
Well, it won't be reaching 110 million like G&T used to say, remember?
It will not. No, it will not.
Hello to Epic Fantasy, who's joining us in the chat as well. Nice to see you. I tended to watch, says Duncan Evans, last season after the BBC One broadcast. Well, I only watched the BBC One broadcast, not here, I have to say. I went to friends and families to watch that, in case anybody's looking. So there we go. I tend to watch that. Thank you very much. And Mark A. Wright saying to us, so now they start caring about the UK fans. Now they found out Disney Plus viewers don't give a toss. Well, cheers then. Too late, isn't it? And Terrified Monk, it's good to see you. Why don't they just release it on the iPlayer the same time it releases on TV in the UK? It's the question that we've been wondering. Why not? Why not 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock? It won't be 7 o'clock. That's too late for this version, I think. I think it was going to be about 5:30, 20 to 6.
They've got what they deserve. Just desserts.
Absolutely have.
Yeah.
This is what they've been aiming for. Yeah.
Wonder what the reshoots were all about, says Ron Sapp. Well, the reshoots, they were costly, whatever they were, because they were well after the time. I personally think it was shoehorning Millie in where she wasn't before, because there were shots of her, not recently, but in pickups last year, where she was in scenes with Bonnie.
Right.
Now, the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Bonnie and Millie are in the Doctor Free one this year.
Right.
I think it's those two.
Do we know for definite the reshoots were for season 2 and not the Sea Devil thing?
I don't know for definite. To any of you in the chat, I couldn't find out. I mean, there were lots of rumours that it was Doctor Who. Okay. David B. 8 a.m. would clash with the 43rd repeat of an Only Fools and Horses episode on Gold. It's a difficult one.
I wonder which one will win.
And Andy's final.
Good job it's not Antiques Roadshow, isn't it? Otherwise it's sorted.
They're in trouble then.
I don't care what time the show gets released, says Andy's final. I will be watching it anyway. And Problem Beings joins us. Hello, mate. It doesn't matter what time they put it on. I'm not watching it anyway. We're getting an awful lot of this coming through. An awful lot of this. Macronom. The big takeaway from the 8 a.m. start time, it's not prime time, which is appropriate for where Doctor Who is these days. It's a great shame because Doctor Who used to be a great big, as it said in the article, appointment viewing, and now all that's gone. And it's such a shame. It really is. Darren Apken is saying Disney clearly don't care now. You think? Do you get that impression? Because I do too.
Did they ever?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. They have Epic Fantasy saying to us they have abandoned all those stupid fake viewing figure claims, the GB forums, and we've talked about the fans. We've talked about the fans. We've already seen their reaction to a point with what's happening now with these rumors. Just following one of our shows, was it last week, the week before? About the Doctor possibly coming off, about this version of Doctor Who coming off air, and there was a breakdown. Can you imagine if it's made official what it would be like for those poor souls? They won't know which way to turn, will they? And we will be running a helpline for them here on Who's Views at exorbitant prices. I can tell you, we're going to be Minute.
And we're still running the therapy as well.
Show me the money.
Number for that, didn't we?
Yeah, we've got all that.
Drowning their own tears, weren't they?
Yeah, and Ncuti's tears, and we'll be minted. If the BBC had any sense, says Paul Stenterford, they'd drop the entire series all at once on BBC iPlayer. That way they could skate fast over thin ice. The problem with that is, if it is as bad as the last one, that word gets around very quickly, and then nobody watches the one on BBC One.
Yeah.
That's
But they
the
do that with a lot of series, don't they, anyway? They kind of show part one, and then the rest of it's available immediately, for the short attention span people.
Yeah, but you're dealing with a program now that they just don't understand has failed.
Yeah.
Where's the audience? Where's the audience? What happened to the audience? What's going to? It's a brilliant show. We love it. It's saying what we want.
The thing is, though, it doesn't matter where you put it. No one's watching. That's the thing. So
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's still on Saturdays. I would imagine it if it's dropping at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, but it means nothing these days. Bedweir is back with us. Are they hoping to boost the pre-transmission numbers, which were only around 300,000 viewers, by reducing the time it's up before BBC One? There he goes again with all his numbers, everybody.
Yeah.
He loves it.
You need to get my badge, JT. I've said that already. Get my badge.
Yeah, we'll get my
club
badge.
Together, get my badge. Yeah.
Handy if he meets any Cybermen again and around.
Gold star. Yeah, definitely.
Who knows what they're doing, though, Bedweir? We can't work them out. And Sally saying to us, yes, Doctor Who is a British institution, not this version, as it's not Doctor Who or British now, as we've got a Rwandan in the lead and a Nigerian writing some of it. Well, I understand what you're saying there, Sally. Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily matter in terms of what's produced, as long as what's produced is good, but it's not,
I would say it's not Doctor Who simply because I don't want, I've never wanted a foreigner in the role of the Doctor. I think the Doctor has to remain British, but he is part Scottish.
Yeah.
So I'm turning a blind eye to that.
I mean, he came over here when he was very, very young, wasn't he? So he's kind of grown up in Scotland, really. So he is kind of adopted Scots, to be honest.
I think with that, though, he is. I can see where Sally's coming from, and I respect that, because yes, he is, brought up most of his life in Scotland, and it's like everything they'll say. Yeah, he's Scottish. Like they said, somebody else in the news recently was Welsh. But if that's the case, why are things on his nails and other things all Rwandan?
Yeah, why is it giving him the tribute, the sonic screwdriver? Why is it giving him the tribute
why
of all that?
But he's wearing a tartan coat, so that's kind of a kind of Scottish edge there.
But why can't it be?
So.
Why can't it be Gaelic or something like that? If he's Scottish, then do that. But it's all about Rwanda and Rwandan and everything. And it's like, well, which angle are you trying to push?
To be fair, though, it wouldn't matter where he comes from if it was actually good. But it's not.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
the thing about that for me is that's virtue signaling nonsense. And this is what these people do. They're obsessed with the DEI nonsense on this. So this was points for them, and it hasn't worked for them. The backlash has been incredible. And Ncuti has been the second successive failure as a Doctor. Let's face it.
I don't think he ever had a chance of succeeding with us at all, really.
I think I do think he was actually hired just because he's queer. Homophobic term, and I'm going to say it as well, and sadly, because of his skin color. I think that spoke to them anyway. But
I think
that's the reason why we got a male actor playing it, was to play the race card a little bit. I think, to be honest,
I think he was seen as eye candy to a certain demographic as well.
Possibly, certainly, maybe, and also he had 6,000 billion zillion Instagram followers, none of whom came to the show. Moving the broadcast time doesn't matter. The show is irrelevant these days. It's done, says Doc Martin. And Kev is saying it's not about the time it drops. It's about dropping an episode that we want to watch. The new release model, says Lex, will not save this current era of Doctor Who. It won't save the show in its current form. No, I think it's too late to try and even discuss trying to save it now. To be very, very honest, I think I think it's far too late. It's been judged. We saw in the visitation show before this one tonight, Bedweir was showing us how from the church on Ruby Road to the last Christmas one that we've just had, whatever it was called, Joy to the World.
Joy to the World, yeah.
It dropped in the series, then it went up slightly for Joy to the World, but it wasn't still on a par with that first one. So, as I said in that show, I think people that would normally come to watch it on Christmas Day remembered, oh, it's that fella. We don't like him. We're not watching it again. To be honest, I don't defend RTD often, says Heretic OSJC, but I'm sure he was on record about not being happy with the midnight drop and how to toe the line. You can tell the way he spoke about it, wasn't happy. Yeah, we covered that last year, I think, on Headlines. He wasn't 100% on with it, but he was trying to justify it, and it was very obvious it was all coming from the deal.
But I can't, like I said, I can't see any difference between the two. Can you? Really? It
Not
doesn't make any
really.
difference. Yeah.
I suppose it's devil's advocate.
Yeah. It's like a token gesture, if that's all it is,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I think it's basically, meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Rory and Cheryl and friends too are with us. Hello to you two. How are you? They're also saying to us, transmit on BBC One, then drop on BBC iPlayer, then Disney Plus.
That's what I said.
We've got to remember that Disney Plus put in a lot of money to this. They are possibly the main financiers of this version of Doctor Who, and they would have every right in therefore to be able to say, we want it first. Because there's no way BBC Studios and Bad Wolf can afford to put in the amount of money that Disney Plus put into this show.
Yeah,
Nothing.
we shouldn't be complaining we've got it second. Can we just not have it at all? That'd be quite good.
Yeah.
It's not like it was when it was the 5 Doctors with America getting it first,
No,
is it?
that
really
that still
did sting.
rankles you. I'm still angry about that.
That did sting. Yeah.
Yeah, great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Gosh, what to say about this? I mean, this series is on the way now. So far, I'm getting the vibe from you guys watching us live here on the show, on your big show on Headlines tonight, that I don't think this is going to be a hit at all. The trailer, which was released just as we were about to come on air for Headlines tonight, hasn't gone down well with us or you guys. It was okay. Hasn't attracted any of us to watch it. And then that story there about the iPlayer, it's not hitting with us as well, is it? That particular one? Not at all. It's just a shame, isn't it? 20 years in, could this be the last series of Doctor Who? It certainly looks like it could be. Everything is gearing up to a possible alleged rumored announcement, official announcement that it won't be back on. We know that so far, as we are broadcasting live on Sunday the 2nd of March, there is currently no episode coming up for Christmas. There is nothing in production for that. Now, if it does go ahead, they're going to have to do a very quick turnaround in the summer, but that might not lead them to a series for 2026. It's all looking very, very sad when you consider that hit is the show's 20th anniversary. And here on Who's Views, starting this week, we are going to be celebrating. I've got to stop saying that.
Be positive, GT. Be positive.
What is it with that? I keep saying that. Outrageous. But we are going to be looking at and marking 20 years of the return of a British legend back in March 2005. We've got these 4 shows coming up for you. They're all on the channel now for you to set a reminder with, give it as a like, and set the bell so you get notifications. It starts this Wednesday live here on the channel as we go to look at the series 1 of Christopher Eccleston, his only series, of course, the season overview from 2005, live here on the channel. Come and join us at 8 o'clock. It's going to be very interesting as well, because we've got us oldies and the new ones that were born into this era. So it should be a really interesting set of shows as we mark 20 years of Reboot Who. Wow. Who'd have thought it? 20 years. Goodness me, it's gone in the flash.
It's good that we're going to be down with the kids in it.
Yeah.
It is.
It's really like a crash on Who's Views, isn't it, to be honest?
Will JT, you've planned this. I mean, with the young'uns that are with us, do we need to take a break so they can have a bit of a sleep and a glass of milk, or do we go all the way through?
Kirsty's in the chat with us right now.
I need a nap as it is. What are you talking about?
Matt's saying Christopher Eccleston now, that's a doctor. Margie is also agreeing. Christopher Eccleston was a fantastic doctor. Rory and Cheryl, the same. Bill Lowry is saying he's looking forward to it. Season 1 is my favourite Doctor Who, says Daleks are forever. RTD, before he was taken over by the Q Plus Puppet Master. Yeah. Paul Schlafter, though, is saying to us, not really a good 30th celebration for New Who, is it? Classic series had 5 Doctors. New Who, 20th anniversary, potential cancellation. What comes around goes around. It's all there. I mean, it's all, Schempmeister, hiya. 2005 was a very exciting time to be a fan. Yeah, it possibly was, but we're going to be talking about that more in these shows that are coming up with us this week. Was it in hindsight? I've just watched some certain episodes from that 2005. Join us, because I've got a lot to say actually with hindsight. But no, thank you very much. Great to see you all. But that's what we're going to be doing. Why not? 20 years. I still can't believe it. Golden Age Geek is saying the 9th Doctor was my introduction to the show. It was a brilliant season. Yeah, fair enough. Can't wait to see what everybody else is going to be saying about it when we start that this week.
Could be controversial.
It could be. I think it's interesting that somebody said, I can't remember who it was, so apologies to them, but when they said before RTD was taken over by the cult, I think he always was. I think the difference with his earlier days is, as we may have said before, is he was controlled. Mal Young, people like that, had oversight, and Julie Gardner and everything had common sense at that point, and they reined him in, whereas there's none of that now. He's just been let loose.
I also think he wasn't as angry as he was 20 years ago because he was younger.
He is very angry.
And I keep saying he's a different man today. He's 62 years old. He's very, very angry. And look what's happened since then. Everything politically that he does not agree with. He's very angry. It's going into all his scripts. We talked about the other week how he's now moved from Doctor Who to do this brand new drama, which we always knew it was coming, which will be based on Canal Street, Manchester again. That is going to be very angry. Possibly one to avoid next year on Channel 4 as well, because it's just going to get everybody that doesn't agree with him. And that's the fact. Speaking of people that were being angry, I was slightly peed off myself this week. As you may know, if you tuned into the channel at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening before we did our Headlines 1985 special about the hiatus of 1985, because Doctor Who magazine made a complete mess of itself in this issue with the language. It was absolutely disgraceful. It was going on about queer this, queer that. If you're new to the channel, I have to say I find that term extremely homophobic and very offensive. Some of us had to live with that for years, and it brings back very painful memories, and also it reminds us of certain losses that we all personally have over that word. It has been embraced by a bunch of narcissistic attention seekers, and Doctor Who magazine was riddled with it this month in this issue, not for the first time, I have to say, because of course it is now bending the knee to what I call the TQ cult. Hashtag LGB without the TQ all the way. Unfortunately, it was also geared towards Waris Hussein. And I'm going to be asking you now, as we look at this next item, has he lost the plot? Even the Radio Times managed to get hold of this. Legendary Doctor Who director, if the Doctor is gay, let's see it, but don't lose the mystery. Queerness matters, and queerness shapes you. So this is all about Waris Hussein. I'm not quite sure why suddenly everybody is calling him legendary, because as I was growing up with Doctor Who, nobody really bothered with him. I'm not being nasty there, but he wasn't the big, oh, it's the first director of Doctor Who. He was just a director of Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean, guys?
I think he's a legend in television terms. He's done lots of really massive things outside of Doctor Who, but not necessarily in Doctor Who. He only did two stories, you know? But
I think Adventure in Time and Space, which was lovely, I think that really emphasised his, maybe overemphasised, I don't know, his role at the time, and made him seem like a more pivotal figure than just a in for a story director, just because it happened to be the first story that they were producing. But, you know, for a long time, well into its 20 years before he started getting some focus again and a few interviews in DWM and things like that. You're right, nobody really bothered. But of course, it has to be that angle, doesn't it? You could have asked him so many things. You could have asked him so much, got him to talk about all these people that are no longer with us, and some that haven't been with us for a long time. But no, it's let's make it all about queerness.
I put it to you. There's no such thing as queerness either. It's just ridiculous. Somebody define it for me, because they can't. They never can. It's absolute nonsense. And if you try to tell me as a same-sex attracted person that I'm queer, I'll have something to say to you, because certainly I'm not. But I think Waris is a DEI person's dream, because not only is he same-sex attracted, he's also of an ethnic minority, and he was in Doctor Who, and I think that's why he's suddenly become the focus of a lot of attention. Sorry, Waris, but I think that's why it is, and enjoy every moment of it, because let's get to the actual article from Doctor Who magazine. Waris was interviewed by Benjamin Cook.
Well, that explains a lot then, yeah.
So let's have a look at it, shall we? I've highlighted some of it here from this particular stuff here. He says here that he was loyal to Newman. He never gets enough credit, you know, says Waris. I wish he was credited on screen. All the popular shows are created by credits. Why not Doctor Who? Well, because the BBC don't like that. They never did. Naming no names, but a lot of people have taken credit for the show, and I don't think that's fair. Well, I'm going to put it out there right now as we're reading this. It's because the BBC always said it's a BBC show. Because back then, everybody was on the BBC payroll. And
it was done by committee rather than one person.
Exactly.
It started it, but it grew arms and legs, didn't it? That's
Sidney Newman might have come up with the initial idea, but Verity got involved and everybody else got involved. David Whittaker got involved. We know that. And they were all on the BBC payroll. So it's a BBC product, you know, like everything else. It's very simple in my eyes. Anyway, let's get back into it. I feel loyal to Verity too. She had the guts to keep going with Doctor Who, even when we were flailing. What's everyone going to think of these first 4 episodes? Men struggling to create fire with lots of fur and grunting. I was terrified people would laugh us out of town. Then there was the complicated matter of the show's twinkly, cantankerous, contradictory leading man, William Hartnell. In an interview with The Telegraph last year, Waris was asked about the actor's bigotry. Of course he was. His anti-Semitism, xenophobia and homophobia have been well documented. What did he make of Waris? He thought, who on earth is this foreigner with the posh accent directing me? Hartnell was homophobic, Waris told The Telegraph, but I never allowed him to think of me as anything other than a director. Today, Waris clarifies, Bill didn't use homophobic language, but he was a dyed-in-the-wool Brit, and homophobia was baked into the old-fashioned British mindset. He was an old colonial bod. He would have been sent off to Burma or wherever. To him, when he met me, I was just a little Indian kid, a coloured boy, you know? What do you say to that? What do you say to someone who fought in the Second World War and was proud of being British and flew the flag? I liked him because of that, not for the other stuff, stresses Waris. He tested me, I guess, and he found me competent, and then he respected me, but he was scared. I think Doctor Who rested on his shoulders, in all fairness to him. He was an outsider too. Bill had his demons. For most of his life, Hartnell, a working-class boy made good, struggled to come into terms with a past he considered deeply shameful. He was an illegitimate child who never knew his father, according to Hartnell's biographer and granddaughter Jessica Carney. See how all this stuff is coming up again as part of this article? It just seems bizarre. He felt the lack of a father figure keenly. He was ashamed of his background and yearned to be cultured, urbane and clever, and yet was disparaging of the old-school Thai set. Bill could be intolerant, bigoted, irascible, and very tense while working. He often came out with xenophobic comments, yet his actions frequently belied his words. All those loudly expressed opinions were contradicted by his behaviour at the personal level, observes Carney. Bill adored Carol Ann Ford, who played the Doctor's granddaughter Susan, and Verity Lambert, who were both Jewish, and had great respect for Waris Hussein, who was Indian. Waris believes that working with these 3 odd people, Sidney, Verity and me, Waris, was a challenge for Bill, but he rose to it, fortunately, and this character he established, this mysterious old man, is as much an outsider as any of us, don't you think? That's the mystery that fascinated me, an old man with a past. What was his story? What was going on with him? I think that mystery was lost in later episodes. We had very handsome young men like Matt Smith and David Tennant on the brink of romances with people like Billy Piper. I kept thinking, this isn't what Doctor Who is about. The Doctor's power lies in his unavailability, his distance. When someone is distant and unavailable, that makes them so much more attractive. The conversation shifts to the current Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. I wonder if the burden of responsibility on him is greater because, guess what? He's the first black actor to lead the show. Reflects Waris. He's also the programme's first queer lead. Gatwa publicly came out in August 2023 interview with Elle magazine. And as what exactly? As what? And his Doctor is explicitly, deliberately queer too. Waris continues, I'm curious about RTD's thinking. Where's he taking the character? What's the mystery? If RTD has made the Doctor queer, is there reference to it? There should be a curiosity among the people the Doctor meets. There's no point in saying, well, it doesn't matter. It does. Queerness matters. Queerness shapes you. What a load of old poo. I've grown up with that mentality, so I can't get rid of it. So it must shape the Doctor. If he's gay, let's see it, but don't lose the mystery. Everybody's lost the fact that the Doctor is a bloody alien. These people are mad. They are absolutely obsessed with all this labelling and all this nonsense.
They're obsessed with sexuality. Sexuality doesn't define you, surely, does it? I don't understand.
It does for them, clearly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ian?
Yeah. No, it does for them, though, doesn't it? It always does. It's all they talk about.
Because that makes you very one-dimensional, doesn't it? If it's all about sex, doesn't it? Really? But...
No, yeah. I just find it's not even sex. Let's get this straight. If the TQ cult, who are saying that this word, this homophobic slur, matters, and they're identifying as this, in that article as well, BC has come out and said, right, okay, Ncuti came out as queer. What the hell does that mean? What exactly is queer about same-sex attraction? That is what we fought against for bloody years, minding my language there, bloody years. And we got there, and then this load of narcissistic idiots came in and changed all that. And it's ridiculous. What does it mean?
It just makes you sound like you're odd, and you're not. If you want to normalize it, you should be normalizing it, not having labels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say to Waris, when he watches this, Waris, are you really comfortable with that Q word? You were there the generation before me. You had to live in the 50s, the 60s, and into the 70s, hiding your sexuality, especially in this country, as on top of everything else you had to deal with. You know what that word meant. Why have you forgotten that? You're 86. Surely you should be saying to people, is this a word? Or are they just telling you, no, it's been reclaimed and no, it's acceptable? Because I'll tell you now, it's not. And there's millions of us around the world that do not like that word. So, Waris, what is going on with you? I'm very surprised you're using that word, sir. I really, really am.
I just think, sorry, JT, I just think that I knew it was coming up soon. I just did a little quick check. 23rd of April is the 50th anniversary of William Hartnell's passing in 1975.
Yeah.
And 50 years he's been dead. And what a wonderful time to do a hatchet job on somebody that can't answer back. It's the lowest form of journalism, and I think
that's what people are saying in the chat.
Scum for doing it. Absolutely.
I think the thing is as well,
scum for doing it.
The thing is that they never actually come to terms with the fact that Hartnell and men like him were a man of his time. That's the way people lived, the way they were brought up. Things change, and that's what happens. But he was doing what the majority of people were doing probably at the time.
Yeah,
he was a man of his time.
But this is typical. I mean, I read this article with Waris and that other thing that I was completely slagging off and dismissing on Thursday's 6 o'clock show. And I was looking at this, and I if you've read this article in the chat, let me know. I got the feeling that they're fishing. I got the feeling that the alleged writer of this, hello BC to you, who's blocked practically everybody in the world, by the way, because of course that's what they do. But I got the feeling here that they were fishing to get some sort of story on either Hartnell or this or that or that. Do you know what I mean? Desperately trying to look for something. And they couldn't quite get the marker. They couldn't quite get the thing that they was fishing to get. It's as though they're really trying, as they're pushing there, to disrespect Hartnell. But as you say, Paul, as you say, he was a man of his time. And you cannot change that. And you cannot judge a man who was born when he was born to your sensitivities in the 21st century, which quite frankly are so far left.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. You are so oversensitive. It's a surprise you can get out of bed in the morning. Paul Stenterford is saying, how dare they attack the late, great William Hartnell? I find this particularly disgusting as he's not around to defend himself. This is just another example of these gutter snipes trashing the past. Hartnell spoke his mind, said Sally. And Shelley is saying to us, hi, Shelley, this is very disrespectful. Marjorie, let Hartnell rest in peace. Waris, grow up. This is what I'm saying to Waris. He's 86. He lives now between Britain and America. He's in LA, apparently. And he lived through a period of time which is fascinating because, you know, my generation came in 80s and through the 90s, and we're having enough of this, and joined with the older generation to say, right, we're gonna stop all it. And we worked for years on this. So is he really comfortable using the Q word? I am absolutely outraged. I hate this stuff, says Silver Wolf. I hate stuff where they can't defend themselves. Stephen Braddock saying to us, this is horrible. Waris shouldn't be saying all this about Hartnell. He came from another time where his ethics were very different from those in the 60s, and Hartnell isn't here to defend himself. And again, we had people like Waris and Verity, 20-something years old, brand new, fresh talent coming into the BBC. who had to deal with these people. Look what Verity had to put up with, all these men around her that didn't think they could do, or she could do the job. And by God, she proved them wrong, didn't she? But they
she got the job because she was sitting there in secretary, and they thought that they were having, it was just his, like she was his mistress or something like that. You know, incredible. You know,
but those kids had to do. Those young people had to do what I had to do in the 80s as well, you know, and in the 90s. They had to break through because they got some of the way. But when I started going into the workplace in the 80s, it was still there. It was still there. And yet we had to I had to make a decision around about 1990, 1991 to come out and be loud and proud and say to people, I am gay, especially to employers, because believe it or not, in the UK, you could be fired for being gay from your job right until the turn of the century. It was still there. I've heard all the gossip says problem being that Hartnell was anti-Semitic. Yet Verity Lambert, who was a Jewish person, cast him and adored him. Stop playing this retrospective opportunity and a gregarious revision of history. And that's where I'm coming from as well. Was he fishing for something? And you know what's going on in the world now. You know we've got all these people saying certain things and going on marches on Saturdays and stuff like that, all of whom should be locked up as far as I'm concerned. Were they fishing for something? I don't know. I'm just alleging all this.
Well, let's hope they're not trying to cancel Hartnell like they tried to do with John Pertwee a couple of years ago.
Well, I think they tried to do that 5 years ago, whenever it was in the show itself, because Hartnell is first on this show. We know that. All fans know.
But they also, when they got David Bradley and he came back in, not in Adventure in Time and Space, but when he came back in as the first Doctor, they definitely parodied the character, didn't they?
Yeah.
They didn't. They made him play. They had him play up to all those tropes, you know, smack bottom and all this kind of thing, and without. Again, like's been said, it was of its time. Hartnell was of his time. Churchill had similar views, was of his time. And to be quite honest, there's a lot of people from Black cultures and Asian cultures around that time that had very different views to what they would say they have now. Do we go back and dig those up and slate those? No, because it's only trendy to do it to white people and do it to people like Hartnell, who are dead and have been dead for a long time and can't defend themselves, and it absolutely stinks.
We've got Post Bunny here saying queer used to just mean like unique and different and quirky stuff. So maybe he's saying that he's queer in both the new definition and the old definition. No, I'm going to correct you there, if I may, because I was on the receiving end of this. It did not. It was a homophobic slur. I've lost a friend over that term. He was kicked to death. And I am sure that was one of the last words they would have been using as they kicked in his head. And he
was
died.
Called queer bashing, wasn't it? For a time.
It was.
It
really was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't glitzy. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't this thing that these narcissistic kids with their nails and, oh, I need to be different, I need to be seen, has seemed to have appropriated. It was a term of abuse and violence, aggression, and it was horrible. And when this word is used all the time now in things like Doctor Who magazine, where it shouldn't be anyway, it brings back memories, you know.
I think it just suggests to me that it sounds like someone's odd, not unique or quirky, just odd, strange, weird.
Well, I've said it before, haven't I? It comes from the old British saying, the old English saying, there's naught as queer as folk.
Yeah.
And because Russell called his bloody show that, the one that really launched him, and then it went to America and they did a fabulous version of it, that's where it's come from. It's come from the title of that show, where they think to be queer is something fabulous to be celebrated, blah, blah, blah. The Americans do not realize the impact that word has, certainly to loads of us, thousands of us that are still around today. And I've got certain people that I know that will turn around saying, oh, it's for them, we've got to accept it. No, we bloody don't. It's a homophobic slur and it has to be stopped. And certainly if I was the Prime Minister of this country, I'd be saying, please don't use that term. It's really offensive, you know? Mark Greaves is saying that magazine needs to be shut down. I don't think it's got long
it's going to be. Yeah.
What else we got here?
Yeah.
What else we got? Hugh Janus. Oh, it's lovely to see you, Hugh. Nice to see you. Easy slating a man that's dead for 50 years. Thank you for your super chat. It's very easy to do that, isn't it, really? Because they're not going to be around. And there's nobody around to defend them because apart from Waris now, who else is around that knew him?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I would hope that somebody like Jessica Carney should be coming up and saying, no, actually, my granddad wasn't like that, or he was of his time, or putting up some kind of defence for him, because just sitting there in silence and taking that is not right.
No.
I mean, Annika Wills allegedly has on various
Oh,
occasions
cool.
mentioned a conversation what Hartnell was like and different attitudes. But like, she
And
did
yet
say
Peter
herself,
Purvis says the other
Yeah.
thing.
yeah. So it's two sides of a different
Caroline
argument.
Ford says the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the actors that are still around, when it comes to production, I can't think of anybody that's still around that would have worked with him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No.
Verity always spoke very highly of him on the convention circuit. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She loved him to bits. She adores him. That's why she took him on. Anyway, Schempmeister, they don't realize this new focus on branding the show is queer is killing the show, and they won't take any responsibility for that when the lights are turned off. You're absolutely right. And now, as I was saying in the 6 o'clock show on Thursday, it's infiltrated all the spin-offs. And I mean by that the magazine, the CDs some of you buy from Bog Fanish. All this cult mentality is in there because they're all approved and they're all part of the same hymn book, really. Just stop hashtag LGB without the TQ FFS says Legion of James. They are fabricating lies and victimhood, reducing everything down to one thing. They are systematically removing everything we LGB achieved. I agree with that totally. Of course I do. I mean, it's very, very difficult to see all that work we did. And I think I've said it on the show before, Legion of James. Had I known when I was on the marches, doing the campaigns, volunteering, etc., had I known that would have all led to where we are today, I don't think I would have bothered. Because there's a hell of a lot of ungrateful people out there who are rewriting the history, dictating to us what we must do now if we want to be part of the community, evicting us from gay bars that wouldn't have existed today had we not gone on those marches. It really annoys me. I sometimes look and say, what the hell did I bother for? Because a lot of it was quite stressful at the time, and a lot of running. A lot of running and a lot of standing up, and well, anyway, you know what we did. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We've got a lot of things, a lot of comments from you here as well. Duncan Evans, when it comes to the Hartnell thing, Doctor Who magazine will probably do some half-assed tribute in an issue. No, I don't think so, because I don't think they will, because the new series will be on by then. They might do a page.
Yeah,
they might do a page.
And that's a shame because the cover of that magazine with Hartnell on the front looks lovely. It's a shame the content's crap, you know. But
you know what? To be quite honest, and like the rest of us here, I got Doctor Who Weekly from issue 1. And haven't for several years now since Whittaker, but I did. And for a lot of time, especially in the wilderness years, I enjoyed it very much. But I don't think DWM is going to be here a year from now. And if this is the content they're putting in about Hartnell, I don't give a damn. And the sooner they're gone, the better. It's an absolute disgusting.
Well, I don't think they're going to last. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Doctor Who Monthly, which is now Doctor Who Magazine, was around for 15 years that the show wasn't, and went from strength to strength to strength. I can't see that happening because we are not there to support it. So I think it will wrap.
But also the sad thing, it's been running since 1979, which is amazing in itself. Yeah. And the show's on telly, and the show's going to kill it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And isn't it still in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest comic strip in the world on the same character?
I think it must be,
something like that. Yeah.
Well,
it's been a character on comic strip from since '64, hasn't it? Which is quite
continuous from Doctor Who Weekly number 179, their version of the show.
Yeah.
So I think it's there for them. Steve Hindley, without William Hartnell being such a success as the Doctor, this lot wouldn't be stealing a living from the program 62 years later.
Yeah.
Raymond Withers, Raymond Williams. The whole show plus Doctor Who magazine is surrounded by activists. They're not really. They're just ridiculous. That's because they now only hire activists. So much for inclusivity. You're right. You're absolutely right. But they wouldn't know activism if it hit them in the face. We had to do the real activism because, we practically solved it all for them. And then they had to go and rake up all this nonsense that just doesn't exist. What is that? What is coming out as quick? Oh, grow up. I feel so sorry for William Hartnell's granddaughter, says Lex Kane, for a super chat. It'd be interesting to see if she says anything. But I wonder where she is. I don't know.
I would hope that she does, but whether she will or not is anybody's guess.
Whether it'll be printed or not, that's the thing. It's a right to
they're not going to do that, are they? They're not going to do that.
No. But should be able to on this channel. If you want to come and speak to us, we'd be delighted. We are looking at possibly doing something to mark William Hartnell, that sad anniversary in April. Stay with us. It's all there. Oh, there we got there. Chris Carlid, I don't read anything that the Fitzroy Tavern creates. And shouting and squealing victimhood is not activism. Exactly. Problem being saying to us, imagine putting Hart on the cover of Doctor Magazine and then allowing a drubbing of his character inside and slurring the Q word all over the place. It's revolting. It's not a nice magazine this month, as far as I can say. I did tweet them to tell them that, by the way. I'm not doing anything without them knowing, but of course they'll delete it or they'll ignore it, whatever they're doing there. But anyway, I wanted to share that particular one for you. You are watching Headlines here at Who's Views. This is your Sunday Big Show. Thank you for joining us. We've got a few more stories to get through this evening, so stay with us. It's been big for us this evening because about an hour before we came on air, the season 2 trailer arrived on the BBC. We've been talking about that this evening. It's gone down like a lead balloon here on the channel. Not many of you are enjoying that or liking the look of it, but there you go. We'll have to see where that one goes to. Tell you something else that's gone down like a lead balloon here in the UK. It is, of course, the 10th and 14th Doctor, or was he whatever he was, David Tennant himself, who this week it was reported on social media platforms, he's been saying this. A fan waited in queue to meet David Tennant and get his autograph signed from the actor. When he met Tennant, he told him Jodie Whitaker sucked as the Doctor. Tennant replied to the fan, if you don't like one of us, you hate all of us. All of us Doctors are together, whether you like it or not.
Oh, dear.
Whether or not, it basically depends on whether the fandom say you are the Doctor. And with an attitude like that, mister, you're going to get yourself run off into wherever Whittaker and Ncuti have gone to, because you've turned into a TQ cult, not very nice person at all, you idiot. Too much money can go to people's heads. On that note as well, a couple of weeks ago, we ran a very simple poll here on the channel on the post. It used to be called Community. It's now called Post tab, which was basically saying a lot of the papers here were and the bookies here are running who's going to be the next Doctor Who. There isn't going to be one, I'm sure. And of course, David Tennant is in the running. So we did the same thing here on the channel. And I asked a very simple question. Do you want David Tennant back, basically? Before the show tonight, I looked and we'd had 267 votes. Yes, they would accept David Tennant back with 7%. And a mighty 93% said no, they don't want David Tennant back. So what does that tell you?
Speaks volumes.
Yep. That's it. So thank you very much for all that.
I think even before they broadcast the specials, they overestimated how popular he actually was even then, you know?
Yeah, but now he's been kicking off. He is no longer that popular here in the UK. Like with everything, they've been shooting off their own agendas, haven't they? And their own far left activist sort of viewpoints. And the British public can't keep up and don't want to keep up because it's all based on fantasy. So he's made himself really unpopular. Jodie Whitaker, however, never did seem to be that popular. And last Sunday, she spoke to The Times. Now, that interview was behind a paywall. So if you didn't get to see it, I've got some other stuff here because it went on to be reported by several other outlets. So let's go to the first one we've got here. This one was from the Radio Times. Jodie Whitaker relives worries she'd effed up Doctor Who for other actors.
I would say so, yes.
I think you can take the 4 other actors away and just leave it as it is. Just
well, this is all, as I say, paraphrased from the Times, the original interview there. Let's see what the Radio Times made of it. More than 2 years after her final appearance in the TARDIS, Jodie Whitaker has opened up about the worries she had when she was first cast as the Doctor, explaining she was scared she'd F it up for other actors. Whittaker, who now leads the cast of the new Jack Thorne-penned Netflix drama Toxic Town, blah, 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 made the comments during the interview with The Times, reflecting on the pressure she faced as the first woman in the role. Now, listen to this. Here we go again with all this typical nonsense. Everyone's Doctor until then was a white man, she said. They are very different actors, but they all fit a specific mold, and I didn't.
So why was she cast then?
White man. White. It's always the same with these far leftists. It's always the same. It's always got to be labeled. It's always got to be put out there. They are absolutely everything they tell the rest of us to be. They are ist and phobes and ots. And how dare they tell the rest of the world that we are, because it's all stemming from them. They see more than the rest of us and put us into these little categories. Carries on. Elsewhere in the interview, Whittaker explained her frustrations about the idea that the Doctor may no longer be seen as a role model for boys simply because the character was being played by a woman. It's never been questioned that I had to look up to men, she said. So it was fascinating that for some, we women could not be role models. The Doctor is still the Doctor, but also I was playing an alien. My gender was not the issue. Meanwhile, she explained that she never read nasty tweets written about her during her stint on the series as she avoids social media. I'm sure people wrote, I hated your Doctor, but because I go la, 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 I've got such a false sense of who I am, she said. So again, I'm going to put this out there because I continually to this day get this argument. I never wanted a female version of the Doctor right back to 1981 when Tom made that joke, which has haunted us ever since, and right up to the day when Chibnall decided to make it come true. The reason being, it had been established in the series that he was a male of his species. That's the only reason. That's the only. Now, had the new series come back in 2005 as Doctor One Day One, we would have avoided all this crap because it would have been shown very quickly that their version of a Time Lord could regenerate into a female. But no, RTT didn't have the balls to do that, and he had to say, nope, this is Doctor Number 9. How's that going for you? You know, and he had to make it a continuity of the character. So therefore, if you're going to do that, you respond to the continuity of the 26 superior years of British television. The Doctor was a male of his species, and it was, I don't care what any of you new fans say, it was established in 26 years that there were male Time Lords and female Time Ladies, and they did not regenerate into another gender. What do you two think on that first part of that interview?
Well, the gender thing that she says that a gender shouldn't be important, she's an alien, then why did they write it like the gender was important? Because that's what they did, you know.
Well, I can comment on that because I refused to watch it, but did they do that?
They did a lot of occasions. Yeah, it was all like about the upgrade. I'm a woman now, blah blah blah, and that kind of stuff. It's like, if the gender's not important, why are they using it as part of the narrative? It's bizarre, you know. But
even in the adverts running up to it, you know, the glass ceiling break.
I remember that because I remember being, oh, there you go.
That was making it all about gender, and she did the first thing. I think we've said this before. Was it even last week? You know, the first thing that she came out and said to fans, "Don't be afraid of my gender." Condescending bag. Honestly, what does she mean by that? Being afraid of your gender? I mean, what does that even mean? It's just Jodie Whitaker word salad, which also reflects most of her scripts, to be quite honest. It's just rubbish.
The reference as well to the not being a female and young boys can't look up to a female role model, wasn't that allegedly a quote from what Peter Davison said, and that kind of got arms and legs as well, didn't it?
What say that again?
Well, Peter Davison, he was the one I think said originally that the gender aspect of the Doctor being a woman now, that women couldn't be role models for young boys, so young boys can look up to the Doctor being a woman, and that came from Davison originally, I think, and that's why he got the backlash allegedly from him saying
that's
that.
Why he came off that. He had a point. He had a point. Whether they like it or not, there's no such thing as gender fluidity as these far leftists want us to believe. Little boys are little boys and always will be little boys. As you can see, if you go around any bloody supermarket with a cafe in, they're always running around causing havoc. The majority of them are interested in football. They're always going to be little. If you give them a doll to play with, the majority of them will turn around and go, I don't want that, and they'll choose a football. That's not going to change. Little boys, and little girls are little girls. Little girls like pink, for example. They like Barbie dolls. They like playing this sort of. Now, I know that really pees people off who are trying to say, oh, you shouldn't have the boys aisle and the girls aisle. But the fact that we still do when it comes to toy shops says everything, because there's two different sets of social constructs, whether they like it or not, because little boys will not go and buy something that's pink and has blonde hair. They'll want something like Paw Patrol or something like that. Now, obviously, there are certain crossovers. That's fine. But when you're looking for role models, I think it's hugely important that boys especially have good, positive role models, because a lot of them these days don't have a father for whatever reason. And I think boys need positive, strong male role models around them.
When I was growing up in the 70s, I was brought up with just my mum, because I didn't have a dad at that point. Well, I always had a dad, you know, but he wasn't around at the time. And so Tom was my doctor. He was like a father figure to me. I loved Tom, you know, so that I could look up to him. So he was a role model to me, definitely.
Yeah. And I think
and I get
the
that.
Doctor was a male role model for generations. I mean, and Pertwee was as well. You know, you could even say David. I mean, when Davison came along, he wasn't the father figure anymore. He was the older brother father figure, according to the press. Do you remember?
Yeah.
But it was a figure to look up to that didn't use. It was a role model figure that didn't use weapons. You know, you're not talking Schwarzenegger or Stallone or anybody like that was involved in violence, gun violence, or anything like that. It was a role model that used their brains, and that was a positive thing. And there's not many of those. There's actually a lot more role models for girls than there are for boys. And they took this one and they removed it, and then thought, well, boys can have this female as a role model. But then she went on absolutely slagging off for her entire 3-year catastrophic abortion of her tenure in the role, and she was never a doctor anyway, in my opinion, but the entire tenure basically belittling males, you know, and it's like, well, how can you be a role model for boys if you're belittling their gender? You know, it's almost as if she was afraid of their gender. You know, it's bizarre, really.
Yeah.
But she took the offensive from day one, though, didn't she? That was it. You know,
we've got that here from Matthew. Matthew saying this is rubbish. Her first interview for Stylist magazine was all about reading critical messages about her. I remember seeing that. It was all on video, wasn't it? And I remember thinking, you are creating so many enemies in Doctor Who world now because we won't like this. I mean, this was the problem. All these people now that have come to the show recently, all these extreme left wingers as well, the far left, as I've said before, they've come into not just Doctor Who, but science fiction in general with the assumption science fiction equals white heterosexual men only who need to be told, you have to be diverse, you have to be tolerant, you have to be inclusive. Hence, loads of women suddenly thrown into the mix, loads of this, loads of that, all these agenda issues, all this activism shows how much they knew because it was science fiction and it was open to everyone and it has been since the start. And what they've done is they've gone and ruined one of the most inclusive, tolerant, happy, encompassing genres in the world.
They just did exactly the same thing as they did with Ncuti. They said, you're not going to like it before you even start. So you had no chance of actually making your own opinion. They told you it was going to be crap, you know? So
yes, and so he lives up to that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Thanks for that, Lex. They're saying that Jodie Whitaker didn't work as Doctor Who. We've also got Glenn saying, oh, the Rani might now be a male. Yes, probably. Could be a male Time Lord, absolutely. Raymond saying to us, Jodie was lazy. She didn't study the character she was meant to be playing. She failed because she was awful in the role.
You could argue that Arabella Weir was the first female Doctor. Just throwing that out there. Not a fan of Bog Fanish.
As much as I love Arabella Weir, that was awful. I have to say, yeah.
Oh, it was, but you know,
David Tennant was in that, surprisingly. Yeah. So,
he was, wasn't
he?
Yeah. But this whole thing from 1981 onwards was just it's just haunted me forever. And when it finally came true by a man that I seem to remember in the 80s said it's going to be a brave person it's going to be a brave man that casts a woman in the role as the Doctor. Well, it didn't work and it should never happen again. And it's one of the reasons I think if there's ever another reboot, forget the modern era of Doctor Who, forget this, can start again completely. And even look at doing Doctor One, Day One, like they've just done with Bergerac in his reboot. Because if you're going to mess it up by saying, oh, he can now do this, he can do this and do this, you're going to lose an audience again.
To be honest, I'm surprised that Disney, I'm glad Disney won't continue, but I'm surprised Disney hasn't done the Young Adventures of Doctor Who. So it'll be like Hartnell's first.
But there's no audience, is there?
Yeah, but that's what they said. They want content, a bit like James Bond and Amazon, and that kind of stuff. It's like, we want content, so we'll just do any old rubbish, you know?
Got a lot of you in the chat commenting on this particular one as well. Superlev Davison said we'd lost a male role model. Colin, of course, went against that, saying he was talking nonsense. Yeah. Davison had massive backlash from that. He certainly did. And that's when we suddenly started to realize what was going on in the fandom, because she hadn't even been seen on screen at this particular point. Yeah. We all realized, oh, look, there's something changing here. And that's where we all started. I was getting it at the same time on social media. A lot of you probably were as well, being called an autophobe. It all started to happen then. And it's because I don't know where these people, I don't know what rock they crawled out of. I don't know what padded cell they escaped from, but suddenly they were there and they're still with us. Horrible.
This is where fandom went batshit crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, it was just completely different. And that's when we saw a major split, which survives to this day. And Russell had the opportunity to heal it and bring us all back together and didn't.
He was never about healing or bringing people together. He's about sowing division and creating division, and that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Was here. Marjorie saying to us here, the Doctor was a white English male and Romana was a time lady. Boys are boys, girls are girls. A lot of people, of course, denying that fact today, as we know, as part of the TQ cult. They can't do it. They just won't admit that they are wrong. Sally is also saying to us, the Doctor will always be a male character. I don't see New Who as part of classic original Doctor Who anymore. Even more so now, since that awful day in 2017 when Whittaker appeared. Yeah, I remember it well. I'll take it to my grave. I just thought, oh, they've gone and
how ironic the words "oh, brilliant" turned out to be.
Well, I remember a friend of mine had said and had warned me about 3 or 4 days before. He said, oh, you're getting the announcement of the new Doctor Who this week. Oh, good, I said. He said, you better be sitting down for it because they've gone and cast a woman. And I said, you're kidding me. He said, no, they're doing it. And Wimbledon.
Yeah, I remember seeing that trailer, and I could tell as you got closer to taking the hood off, you knew it was a woman. I thought, oh God, no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was so deliberately done to make it feel a man. I mean, that was the other thing, wasn't it? They put her in that big man's coat.
Yeah.
Cowards. It'll be the same when Gatwa leaves, says Legion of James. He'll pull the race card versus previous white doctors when the truth is he didn't embody the character, focused on agenda and stories were crap. It's nothing to do with race. Well, that leads me very nicely into the next part of this interview because we're not finished with it yet. Look at this. From MovieWeb, former Doctor Who star slams toxic fans. My gender was not the issue. Now, this is still based on the Times article, but there might be a few crossovers. But it was very interesting how MovieWeb were reporting this story. Let's have a look, shall we? It starts with Jodie Whitaker, the first woman to play the iconic lead. We're never going to get rid of that. On BBC's hit sci-fi series Doctor Who, has reflected on her time on the series and the issue of dealing with toxic fans. Now, of course, what they mean by toxic is people that disagree with them. That's what they mean. So
we're all toxic casting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get as good
as opposed to simply having a different opinion. That's all it was.
Yeah. Here we go. Whittaker played the 13th Doctor from 18 to 22 over the course of 3 series and 31 episodes of television. Sadly, Whittaker's casting made headlines for both good and ill. Many fans loved her tenure as the Doctor. No, they didn't. But there were also plenty of audience members who made their disdain for her incarnation of the Time Lord known, often critiquing the idea of a woman in the role of the space alien as woke, a criticism her predecessor, Gatwa, has also faced.
He wasn't her predecessor. He was a successor, not predecessor.
Oh, yes, they've got that wrong. Yeah,
they've got that wrong, haven't
they? Whittaker was announced to play the Doctor on July the 14th, 2017. Though many reacted positively to the news, with Whittaker getting support from Doctor Who actors Tennant, Eccleston, McCoy and Tom Baker, it was a controversial decision. This followed the Gamergate controversy and the targeted harassment campaign following the female-led Ghostbusters in 2016. Huge flop, if you all remember.
It was just awful. That was a problem. Nothing to do with women at all.
It was
terrible. Yeah. It was also a few months before The Last Jedi would hit theatres, making discussing Star Wars a nightmare. Again, because it was bloody awful scripts. Activism, not science fiction at all. Whittaker's tenure as the Doctor hit right as an online rage bait because one of the dominant and profitable forms of media discussion on the internet, with the idea of gender and racial politics becoming a culture war that many in online spaces latched onto because negative press and hate are more profitable. Can you look at the wording on this, everybody? Negative press and hate is profitable, according to these idiots. BBC even had to make a statement defending the choice to cast Whittaker following the negative and sometimes sexist backlash to the news. It was nothing to do with this MovieWeb. It was because we know what the Doctor is. We know who the Doctor is. The Doctor was a male of his species. The fact the BBC put out that ridiculous press release referred to something that had happened in the series beforehand, which was deliberately enforced in so they could say Time Lords can now change gender. They never have done before. It wasn't in the character. That's all that fans were getting back to. These people are deluded. Recently, there have been rumours that Doctor Who might be facing cancellation. Many bad faith arguments are blaming the casting on Gatwa and Whittaker as the Doctor for this decline, though it was clear even during the Peter Capaldi era the series ratings were not anywhere near the heights of Tennant or Smith. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the Doctor Who revival, meaning it's just a few years shy of when the original Doctor Who series went off the air. Yet there was a lot of unfair pressure put on Whittaker as the first female Doctor, which was frustration for Whittaker, particularly the idea that making the Doctor a woman would mean young male fans couldn't look up to her. Yeah, so we've been through all that bit there. There's a few other bits here. She says here in response to that, if Peter Capaldi hadn't been good as the Doctor, it would only have reflected on him. Whereas I felt that if I wasn't very good at this, I effed it up for other actors. I think it's completely unacceptable if that was the case, but that's how I felt. It's never been questioned that I had to look up to men. So it was fascinating that for some, we women could not be role models. The Doctor is still the Doctor, but also I was playing an alien. My gender was not the issue. It's nice for me if people are still massive fans because it means I didn't kill it. If someone stops me and starts talking about Doctor Who, I'll go on and on and on and on, and I can sense them trying to leave, I'm sure. 20 years is a long time to keep pop culture dominance, something the Marvel Cinematic Universe is also facing. Maybe the issue with Doctor Who isn't that it's woke, but the franchise needs some rest to allow fans to be nostalgic for it. In 10 years, Whittaker will likely be looked back on as fondly by the young kids who were first introduced to Doctor Who through her series as her predecessors before her. Talk about delusion. It hasn't brought any new fans into the series. Those ones that were going on about a female Doctor did not stay around for Ncuti. They left the show.
The key quote in that article, the last bit you read out, was the fact that Capaldi was good as the Doctor. You know? So that's the point. He was a good actor.
It's also,
played the part properly.
It's also not true. As we've shown lots of times through Bedweir's rating analysis, yes, even the show just before this one, this very night, go and look at it. It's called Visitations, BFI The Savages. Ratings updating there. Capaldi may have slipped slightly from Smith, but it wasn't the massive slip we've got till now. He was still pulling in anywhere between 7 and 9 million.
Because they're going on about that massive high that Jodie had at the start, that curiosity high.
One episode,
then it went down and down and down and down constantly. Yeah. The Legend of the Sea Devils, you know.
It's 2. Yeah. Which was the lowest Doctor Who rating episode ever until Ncuti Gatwa's era. Yeah. These people are up to their depth.
It was always about gender, and she was one of the main proponents of that, as was Chibnall. And because it didn't work for them, they're now coming back and trying to retcon that, saying it was never about gender. It absolutely bloody was. You can guarantee those planning meetings where it has to be about changing the gender. And we knew that was along the line coming anyway because of what they did with Missy, which I also think was wrong. And what they did with the Time Lord General, turned him into a woman. And again, even Moffat couldn't help himself. Regenerates, apparently turns back into a woman and immediately denigrates the gender that she had been previously.
Because that's how
all that testosterone. Yeah. And it's like, how is that not making it all about gender?
Yeah.
How is that not belittling one gender? Would you take the piss out of women like that? Of course you wouldn't.
Can you imagine all the little boys that were watching that have now grown up? It's no wonder that a lot of white boys in particular in our country, and I've met a lot of them, are so demasculated and so not confident. They lack a confidence. I've met some young boys at something I put together a few years ago, which was about engineering, and they were late coming out of the workshop, and I said to them, "How did you find that, lads?" And they said, "Oh yeah, that was great, but it's not for us, is it?" And I said, "What do you mean it's not for us?" "Well, it's all for the girls, isn't it?" Because that's what the adults around them are telling them. And I said, "No, it's bloody not. It's for everybody. If you want to go ahead with it, you get those details and you follow it up." I was so annoyed about that.
There's a lot more funding and everything that goes into education like that for girls, and getting girls into STEM subjects and girls this and girls that and girls the other. And that's fantastic. That's fine. But what they fail to understand is that for decades, girls have outperformed boys in exam results anyway. But they've never chosen to focus on boys and raising attainment. They just keep focusing on girls. So boys are getting left further and further behind. And then they're wondering why they go into all sorts, including delinquency. You can't blame them, can you?
Also crime. Yeah. But this is where DEI has gone wrong, because the activism came into the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion, didn't it? Oh, we've got to have these tick boxes, and it hasn't been inclusive, and it hasn't been equal because it's had the tick boxes, And it's been absolutely disgraceful. Craig Dunlop is saying to us, they changed the Doctor's gender, then made no reference to it in the stories. There was no story where her gender was an issue. So why did they even bother, other than to tick box or check box, of course?
Well, they did a couple of times. I'm sure you remember, Ian, as well. You know, the witches one particularly. It was like, oh, it's a woman, you must be a witch, blah, 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 kind of thing, things like that. Or constant mentions of being upgraded because she's now a woman rather than a man and things like that. So there was a lot of gender things mentioned, wasn't there, in the series?
I mean, that's the one where they put her on the ducking stool, wasn't it? And,
yeah.
And then she got herself out. And she got herself out and walked out of the lake and everything.
What with the sonic screwdriver or something, I would imagine.
Well, the thing was, if that had really happened in that time, they would have said you're definitely a witch, and they would have burnt her.
That
Exactly.
would have been.
And then there's that moment when she meets Stephen Fry in the James Bond one they did, and Stephen Fry expects to see Bradley Walsh as the Doctor. I think he's male, because he's read all the files, the Doctor's male. And then she says, no, I'm the Doctor, I've had an upgrade.
Yeah, that's the famous one, isn't it? That's the famous
stuff.
one.
You know,
it's so insulting.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Lee sent to us, problem being, the Doctor Who feminist front did so much damage by destroying masculinity in Doctor Who. They don't care about role models for boys. They just want to break all our toys. It's strange how none of them stayed around to support Gatwa, as the ratings prove, isn't it? None of them did. I remember some of them and having run in with them. Poisonous, they were poisonous. Legion of James, despite the female aspect, Jodie didn't embody the character. The stories were naff and the show led with a gender focus. So it was all on the production and her acting, not the gender victimhood card. Mark Milford is saying to us, John and Tom are still role models. Yes, and I think that's why the 70s, especially era of Doctor Who, is, so I hear, very popular when it comes to the iPlayer. But also, we can also see that their box sets sell so well, as we said, right at the very top of the show. Season 7.
One thing you can say about New Who, it's got new fans into classic Who, which is superb, I have to say. For the look for better stuff. You know?
Glenn Piper saying to us, I honestly think guys, they don't stop and think before they do these interviews. They speak without thinking and don't seem to worry about consequences. You're absolutely right, because nobody coaches them anymore. Because they are all far left and they are superior and they look down at everybody else. I mean, you can compare the two versions of the latest Doctor Who. Chibnall and Whittaker, it's not for you, go away. Everybody did. Oh, what's happened? RTD, Gatwa, go touch grass. Everybody did. Oh, what's happened? They are not thinking because they're too busy with the, oh, this will show them. Or, oh, we've got to put this in. We've got to teach these people that they must be like us. Dalek Lives Matter is saying we'll never be rid of Tennant. Well, if he carries on the way he is.
Well, I think part of the problem was when Jodie was around, they started bringing him into lots of different things. Like Big Finish used him to death. He was in all the comics and all that. And they made Tennant become the face of Doctor Who, even though he wasn't at the time, he wasn't the incumbent Doctor. So he was just all over the place, which I think killed that. It was overused, you know?
Yeah. Duncan Evans is saying to us, remember that Comic-Con interview she did where she said in a dull voice, I just say what's on the page? No, because I had no interest in watching it. If that's what she said, it says it all.
It does. That's exactly what she did. Yeah.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? How can you say something like that?
What was on the page was utter bilge as well.
Yeah.
What was on the page was bilge.
And at least Capaldi would have enhanced whatever crap dialogue he had, you know?
It did occur to me in the years I wasn't watching the show, when I was reading things about what she was saying, that she took the role not because she was interested in the role, not because she loved the series, because she hadn't watched it apart from Tennant and Smith, I believe. But because they'd said, you're going to be the first female Doctor. Oh, tick box. You're going to get so much tick box. Oh, it's a stepping stone into America. That hasn't gone down very well for her, has it?
No.
Because the show didn't hit. In fact, the last actor to do any decency work but crossing the boat, I think, must have been Matt.
Probably.
What surprises me though, she's still getting the odd bits of work like this Netflix series and stuff like that, which surprises me no end.
Must have a good agent.
You must have, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what the ratings for this thing are. They'll be very difficult to get because they're on Netflix, but I don't think it's going to do that well. Thank you for that, Duncan. Sir Clive Calculator is with us. People making Doctor Who don't love it. You can just tell. Successive production teams in Wales certainly don't like the fans. The love or lack thereof comes through screen. It really does, and it comes through in their interviews. And the annoying thing is, as well, as I said on our previous show, if it wasn't for all of us supporting it when it came back in 2005, Tranter, Gardner, RTD, Collinson, the rest of them wouldn't be where they are now.
Can I just stress that we don't want it to be made for fans. We just want good Doctor Who. We don't want it to have fan service.
No, it has to be made for us. It has to be made for people, for everybody, the public.
A broad audience, yeah.
The whole 1970s era, 60s era as well, wasn't made for fans. In 1960s, there weren't Doctor Who fans because it was a new show, so they just made it. But in 1970, they were making it for good television, and the fans just happened to love it.
We've got Boomer Doug saying, you're correct about toys, JT. I used to manage a toy shop. Kids will always choose gender-appropriate toys. If it was often parents guiding some to choose more gender-fluid options. Yeah, and we get that now with all these far-left liberal parents who should actually be having, in my eyes, investigated because, oh, look at this. I saw one the other day where some woman is saying, oh, my son is a girl. It's a baby, for crying out loud. Yeah. She needs locked up. Obviously gone in the head. Thanks, Boomer Doug. Nice to see you.
It's like the owners of the dogs, and they say that my dog's a vegan, and they do there was one did a test on TV, didn't they? They had some vegan food and they had some meat, and the dog just went straight for the meat.
Straight for the meat. I saw that on the Cube of Who. Yeah, because it's in their nature, isn't it? These people are just absolutely. And she was desperately trying to get him to eat the garbage that she was putting. Do you remember? She said, no, you can't have that one, it's this thing, and he's not interested in this shredded wheat or whatever the nonsense was. Poor animal. That was very cruel to the poor thing. Thanks for that, Super Love. Jodie's run was terrible. I tried, but God, it was bad. And Sheila being the devotion saying I couldn't get into Doctor Who when she started going about me fam, whatever that means. Me fam.
It's not as rude as it sounds, just to warn you. But,
Post Bunny said family. Right.
Yeah. Just to clarify that. Yeah.
Watkin, hi Watkin. The idea of having a female doctor always seemed like a pointless idea. I never felt that it would reinvent the wheel. It just felt politically motivated. Of course it was. The thing that's solidified that fact that it was all done to tick the box was the advert, that trailer that you mentioned, Ian, where the glass ceiling was shattered. And I thought, well, there you go. After weeks and months of you telling us now it's not about the glass ceiling, you've just proved it bloody well is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make a point. You're trying to make yourselves all look clever.
And that's the problem. If they hadn't gone down that route and just gave us Doctor Who, it may have worked.
If they'd let Capaldi do the one or two series he wanted to do, the show might have actually been okay. Yeah. Because all he needed was a different showrunner with a different idea to come in. Because Moffat was tired. Let's face it. Darren Apken saying to us, if they wanted the female Time Lord, they could have cast Keeley Hawes for a Romana series, and we'd all been there. Totally. I don't know about the casting. I wouldn't go so far as to say I would say a particular actress to play Romana, but it would have been a great way to launch it. You could have done it like they used to do in the 70s, where they had the character coming back in the main show, and then the spin-off. I would have watched that. I would have watched it
like they did with Liz Sladen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would have done that. And bearing at the time they had lost the Sarah Jane Adventures, so it could have worked.
Yeah.
You bring the character back, you re-establish them, you get them back in the mindset, and you do the spin-off. It would have made perfect sense, but they were too stupid.
Yeah, and they could have had Doctor Who in its time slot, and at the end of the year or whenever, the Romana spin-off.
That's who Mrs. Flood is. I bet you she's Romana. That'll be it. Yeah.
Well, she's certainly taking a turn for the worse then. A certain Doctor Who forum, says John Henson, told me that no one would remember Romana. The Rani, that's before all the changes to the Time Lord gender. They wouldn't remember Romana or the Rani, but they're not Doctor Who fans then, are they?
Yeah.
No.
Romana is a fantastically important character to the Doctor.
But they're expected to remember Sutek.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah. I see, they're so hypocritical, this lot, aren't they? A lot of you in the chat talking to us about this, so thank you so much. It's great to see you all. Thank you for joining us. The problem is we're never going to hear the end of this particular discussion now. We never are, and it's carrying on into the Ncuti Gatwa era. We're going to hear lots more of that over the next few months, if not years. It's not going to go away. I mean, how many years has it been since Whittaker finished? 3. Here we are having the same conversation again. When Whittaker finishes, I think he already has, then I think it's going to come up in every interview with him. Or you received, we started hearing it last week, didn't we? You got such a backlash, didn't you, when you became the Doctor? Oh, yeah, I did, poor me, blah, blah, blah. We'll deal with it when it happens. Yeah. Talking of Ncuti Gatwa, we've got this. Congratulations, because he's been nominated for an award from Pink News. Jonathan Bailey, Emma Darcy, and Ncuti Gatwa received nominations for the British LGBT Plus Awards. Well, of course they do. But remember, this is Pink News, the TQ cult paper. By the way, if you want to sum up anything, get them in the chat now to sum up. And then what you want to sum up, any of the subjects we spoke about, start putting in the chat now to sum up as we look at this last one from this awful rag. Here it is in here. The British LGBT Plus Awards has announced its shortlist for the 2025 ceremony, and Jonathan Bailey, Emma Darcy, and Ncuti Gatwa have all received nominations. The shortlist for the British LGBT Awards was announced on Thursday, the 25th of February, before the awards kick off during Pride Month, in London in June. The awards ceremony honours LGBTQ plus stars, blah, 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 allies and activists who have used their platform to uplift those in the queer community over the past 12 months. This paper is in so much trouble, by the way. So much trouble. Wicked's Jonathan Bailey, Doctor Who star Ncuti Gatwa, and alleged non-binary and also delusionist House of Dragon star Emma Darcy. She is joining him, and they're all in the running for the LGBTQ plus Celebrity Award. Bailey's nomination noted his representation of LGBT plus actors in mainstream period dramas, yawn, for Bridgerton. And Gatwa, however, was nominated for his groundbreaking role as the first black and openly gay actor to play the lead in Doctor Who.
God almighty.
That's all they care about. Label, 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 label. It's sick. These people are
bizarre. Ian McKellen's an openly gay actor, but he's not playing Gandalf as gay, is he?
Well, he possibly would do now because he's finding himself part of all this cult thing as well. Somebody else that was there. I remember years ago in the late 80s, early 90s, he was down at the front on one of the marches I was on with the banner, holding the banner and walking through the street. One of the biggest actors at the time, really, one of the most respected, or coming up through the National Theatre. And there he is. I was like that. And now look where he is. Yeah. Sorry, it just annoys me. Really does annoy me. I knew Lee would have something to say about that. Thank you, mate. But yeah, there we go. Again, it's all about the label.
Yeah.
Apparently he's made history. It shouldn't matter what colour his skin is. It shouldn't matter what his sexuality is. What matters is his ability to play the Doctor. And as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't got it because it's not there. And I've had 10 episodes now to watch, and I can't see the Doctor.
Neither can I.
No, ditto.
Let's get into that. It is that time. Thank you very much for being with us. This is the time where we ask you to sum up. If you've got something to say about any of the headlines we looked at in the show tonight, put in the chat to sum up. Let's see what you're saying. Oh, it's been a great chat tonight, everybody. Thank you very much for starting off with John Roberts here. To sum up, New Who irritates me. I'm off to watch Tomb of the Cybermen to cleanse my soul.
Oh, good choice.
Oh, I want to do that now, and I can't because I'm up early for work. Stephen Braddock has to say, to sum up, I yearn for the days of proper Doctor Who, watching Robots of Death on a dark night in 1977.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You weren't there, you can't possibly know. To sum up, says Mudcrap, the skeleton dino in the trailer looked good enough, but the new psychic looks bland and insufferable. We shall soon find out, won't we? Chris Collard is saying about our last story, the groundbreaking role. God, these people are so delusional, aren't they just? To sum up, says Duncan, Jodie had a terrible constipated squirrel face when trying to look curious at something, did she?
That's some kind of constipated squirrels, I have to say. But
always reminded me of Rick Mail. She looked very much like, Rick Mail, definitely.
She was famous.
Rick Mail was talented, though, to be fair. God bless him.
That is true.
Yeah, bless him. No, Mark Milford, to sum up, New Who blames fans on social media feeds hunting for scapegoats while ignoring their own deeds, but fandom endures, fueled by stories that last, keeping faith in tales from their past. One of the things that got me about that movie web thing, and if they're watching, I need to tell you this, we have a right to an opinion. This is not toxic. This is not hate. This is us as fans saying what we think is wrong with the show because it's wrong. It's not Doctor Who. And because they keep calling it Doctor Who, we're going to criticize it because we know what Doctor Who is. And it's certainly not the crap they've been peddling out for the last several years. I can assure you.
It's criticism, not hatred. It's bizarre.
Anything that they disagree with is hatred. And it's just getting on my wick, quite frankly. It's not at all. I've been accused of this so much over the last few days as well. Ridiculous. To sum up, says Lex, who is the mystery time lady in the end of time? I thought it was the White Guardian, quite frankly, but
there was all this nonsense about being the Doctor's mum, wasn't there, or something, some rubbish like that. Yeah,
I thought that was Romana at one point. I thought that was going to be Romana at one point. But...
To sum up, says James Smee, great trailer for some show that has nothing to do with Doctor Who. To sum up, says Moriarty, the new trailer won't be getting parents up early on a Saturday morning to check that the new episodes of Doctor Who are suitable for children to watch. I do think there's going to be an element of that still because of what adults are hearing about Doctor Who.
Well, like Honey, I'm Velma is going to get them want to check.
If anybody was watching it and interested at all, I don't think there is a younger audience for this. I think by what the BBC means, what RTD means when it says younger, I think it's in the 20s. Yeah. I just don't think the kids are there. I don't know any of the little ones that are watching this like I used to. They're not there.
No.
Well, there's not enough interest for kids. There's not enough monsters and scares and things that grab you as a kid. There's nothing in that for kids, really.
No, not at all. No, and special effects aren't going to work because the kids need a story.
And the kids are used to special effects now. It's not a big thing for them anymore. They get special effects everywhere,
If you look at the continuing success of Jurassic Park, which they keep insisting on hammering it out, they insist on doing that. And there's another set coming now because it makes money. Why? Because there's a different generation that comes along that likes the monsters.
Yeah.
Kids like dinosaurs. Kids always like dinosaurs.
Science. Yeah. And which kids? Usually little boys. And they have to be dragged by their dads or their uncles or their mothers even to go and see these big lumbering monsters on there, which is the same story rehashed over and over and over.
It's because the dads can't go on their own, you see. They have to take the kids with them. It's like going to pantomime.
Yeah. But it's true though, isn't it? I have seen so many little boys carrying around dinosaurs, whether they be robotic or cuddly or on their pajamas or on their tops or whatever it's going to be, on their shoes, on their bags. They love dinosaurs. It's a monster. Doctor Who people, it's a monster, and it lasts and it makes money. Hello, that's what the original series used to do, you idiots.
But space babies, bogey monsters.
No, not the same, is it?
Not the same.
Raymond saying to us, to sum up, Ncuti's Doctor will be forgotten about as quickly as Whittaker's was. I think that's already happened here in the UK. And to sum up, says Robert, we still aren't excited for the next series. Sean Cryer, to sum up, cut the infection of New Who out of canon. Problem being saying to me that 11 episodes are already far too much. Legion of James, we spent decades trying to remove all labels, and now they've created more than there ever was before, putting everything in a restrictive, suffocating box of nonsense. It really has. We've seen that blooming TQ cult flag. They keep adding to it. Who's hosting those awards? Tennant? Probably, yeah. What else we got? Any more? Yes, to sum up from Paul Rose, if I watch season 2 to show solidarity with Who's Who's, do I get a medal? Well, no, but you might get a pencil.
Might get a pencil. That's good.
Yeah. To sum up, it will still be shite, says Superlev. I smell shite. To sum up, says Mark Milford, if the cult targets Hartnell through stigmatization, it wouldn't just be about him. It would be Doctor Who itself framing it as an outdated obstacle to the franchise's modern trajectory. Mark, I think it's already happened. I think they did it with the timeless children thing.
Yeah.
I think it's already done. To sum up, says Garbage, the trailer looked polished and so much better than season 1 trailer, but I'm still not watching. Paul Stenterford, to sum up, Doctor Who season 2 is dead on arrival. Jodie as the Doctor was a failed experiment, and William Hartnell was a wonderful actor and a wonderful Doctor. # Hartnell first. Thank you very much. Marjorie's saying to us, to sum up, Jodie Whittaker's delusional, Tennant is bonkers and Ncuti is annoying. End of. Thank you to Rose Kirby and Arthur Daniels as well there. Another one there, Lex Kane saying to sum up, good spotting, Paul, seeing no aliens in Doctor Who trailer. Legion of James to say, to sum up, Pink News called such because I'm not saying that, I'll probably get barred or something. I've already had one email. And Bedouin saying to us, to sum up, I want to watch season 7 but need to watch Cygnus Alpha. That's for tomorrow. Paul Bedouin and the rest of us will be here with Lex as well, and Andy will be here tomorrow night live on the channel at 8 o'clock to look at season 3 Cygnus Alpha of Blake 7, episode 3 of season 1. That's what I'm talking about. Dalek Eye, to sum up, they are all whinging babies going on about race, sex and other things no one gives a F about. To sum up from Bill, we just want decent Doctor Who. Written, acted, directed, produced. I'm off to watch Spearhead from Space. I've watched the extras on this list so far. See, he got his. Some of the season 7s have got there this weekend. I've seen this obligatory thing. Oh, I've got mine. What's that about? Grow up, everybody. If you guys
I've been watching unboxing videos on YouTube and crying afterwards. That's how bad it is. Yeah.
I think problem being is one of those naughty people he was teasing.
Was he? Naughty problem.
He's got his outrageous.
It's like it's a race to be the first one on the internet to say, "Oh, the postman's been." Oh, please get a grip. To sum up, says Starlit Lives Matter. Hail Hartnell. And PTA saying to us, sum up, think I'll watch Curse of Fenric again. All nice choices here. Time Lord Victorious to sum up. We can all find inner peace watching good old classic Who. The world's gone mad. It bloody has, hasn't it? It's gone absolutely insane. Paul, one for you from Lee. Don't put Jodie Whitaker and Rick Mail in the same sentence.
I never did.
Virtual Baz, hello there. And to sum up, I can't even say that one now. I'm not sure what I can say anymore on the channel. You can read about that. Sir Clive Calculator saying to us, to sum up, every 20 years or so, Doctor disappears up his own arse.
There's a gift for you. Yeah.
It just, as we said on the hiatus show, on when we were marking 40 years of the 1985 axing of Doctor Who here in the UK, we were saying the parallel is incredible. It's the same month. Yeah. It's very, very... And a little bit earlier, at least Doctor Who got to season 22 before it was axed, and then got 3 years bereaved. Derek Hart saying to us, to sum up this last season of Who, oh, by the way, I'm a dog, I was a cat, and then I might be a budgie. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, I identify as a llama, just saying that.
Oh, look, here we go. To sum up from Digital Pollution, Space Sentinel himself, at this moment, the trailer has 12k up and 1.1k down. Who is voting for this crap up? Don't know. No, I don't care. Farsight, to sum up, Hartnell first. Always going to be the way on this channel, I assure you. Yeah. Rose Kirby, to sum up, hope to catch you Wednesday. Going to finish looking at Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Gardens of the Galaxy 2. I don't know which one you prefer. All right, Rose, thanks to see you. Thank you.
That one's got Alan Titchmarsh in it, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Great series, great film, lots of budget. Mark A. Wright, to sum up, William Hartnell was legitimate. There we go. And Stephen Braddock, to sum up, I predict in the Euro episode, the Doctor Who theme itself will be the Doctor's entry, probably with words by Murray Gold. I wouldn't put anything past RTD.
Oh, what a horrible idea, Stephen.
Could be that. And what we got here as well, to sum up from John Hanson, Derek Jacobi, a magnificent master and did not use sexuality in the role. Bring him back as the master. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Big finish of wrung that out as much as they could. Yeah.
To sum up, Woke Lefties just destroy, they cannot create. Oh, and season 7, whoop, says Enspiel. I hope you're all going to enjoy it tomorrow. But don't forget, have a break from Doctor Who season 7 to come and join us with Blake 7 series 1, episode 3 tomorrow, live at 8, our review of Cygnus Alpha. Matthew Pounder is saying to his kids want 20-minute cartoons. Doubt they'll sit through a 45-minute episode. That ties in with my thing about, if it was me, I'd bring Doctor Who back as a 30-minute episode format, in a serial format like it was in the old days. Paul Schlefter, to sum up, I'll be watching some Hartnell stories this week. Thanks to him, we are all here this evening. I think I'm going to watch The Ark. Oh, okay. I haven't watched that in years.
Oh.
Love the elephant in that, yeah.
I've not watched that in years. Oh, my God. Oh, you've inspired me. To sum up, the only good news this week, says Bundy 4077, was the up-and-coming release of Blake 7 Series 2. Takes us right back to the beginning of the show. Thank you. Bedweir is saying, my dad took me to watch the second Jurassic Park movie after watching the first one on VHS. See, there you go. There's a new set coming. They're on the way. Julianne is saying, to sum up, I look forward to viewing figures below 2 million for Series 2. I reckon below 1. I think it's going to get there, Julianne. I really do. To sum up, says Farsight, I'm off to watch Ghostlight. Good choice. Good choice. Thank you very much. Any more for any more? We're getting a bit of repeats here now as well. No, I think I'm gonna call it, actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. Oh, hang on, Steve Henley. Let's have a look at yours. To sum up, William Hartnell is brilliant. Delicate blooms. Great. That's where I am going to hide there. Listen, we've had another great big show. It is your Sunday big show, this one. You know it now. Headlines. It's great. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and thank you for all your opinions. The third Dr. Ian and to Paul. Wow. What a show. Thank you so much, both of you.
Okay.
Great to see
thank you. It's a lot of fun.
No, thank you. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
One thing for sure, Who viewers, this is now official. Doctor Who Series 2, Disney Who, is on the way. They have started the publicity. Let's see what this week brings for us, shall we? As ever, you know it. When they drop a headline, we'll be here to talk about it. From the three of us to you, have a great rest of the day. Have a great week. We'll see you very soon. Blake 7, Series 1, Episode 3 review tomorrow. And our next scheduled show, Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK time, with our season overview of the Eccleston series as we kick off our marking of 20 years of the reboot. We'll see you soon. Ciao, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.